Chapter 1651. The Heavenly Sun Old Man had also risen from the Emperor Road and established a flourishing immortal sect. The era of his rise was extremely long ago. Generally speaking, it was a glorious and mythical existence. After all, he was an existence that established a flourishing immortal sect. In ancient times, he was an expert that could command the world. However, the Heavenly Sun sect was destroyed, and he was the only one who survived. Ever since the Lord of Hell obtained the rebirth elixir, he had been thinking of ways to speed up the cultivation process. The Heavenly Sun sect was targeted by the Lord of Hell. The sect was destroyed, and the outside world didn't know about it. The Heavenly Sun Old Man was also locked in the sect and turned into a tonic. One had to admit that it was tragic. At the same time, one could see how terrifying the Lord of Hell was. The powerful Heavenly Sun sect was destroyed just like that. No wonder he was the oldest Overlord in the world. Ha 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 ha! The Heavenly Sun Old Man was crying and laughing at the same time. His cracked flesh shell struggled violently, causing the chains forged by the eyepiece to ring. Unfortunately, he was too weak and couldn't break free. Most importantly, the black chains contained the supreme law of order. He had too much unwillingness and too much hatred. He couldn't calm down and let out a series of sorrowful roars that dyed the sky red. He wanted to break free and avenge his dead disciples. However, he couldn't do it. He was extremely weak, and the rebirth elixir was about to mature. The rebirth elixir's demand on his life was even more terrifying. His horrifying body was filled with cracks and could disintegrate at any time. Too pitiful! Baokai lamented in disbelief. A great sect that once looked down on the world had fallen to such a tragic state. This was an outcome that was worse than death. After a long time, his life was slowly withering away and being eaten away by the rebirth elixir. If it was anyone else, they would have been tortured to insanity. The Heavenly Sun Old Man couldn't die even if he wanted to. The black chains imprisoned him, and a black lotus was suppressing his head, imprisoning his primordial spirit. One had to admit that the Heavenly Sun Old Man's primordial spirit was very strong. It was filled with the supreme profundity of the Mother Scripture. The black lotus shook violently, but it couldn't break free completely. The Lord of the Underworld had imprisoned the Heavenly Sun Elder for a greater purpose, which was to obtain the Mother Scripture of the Sun. This was the Mother Scripture of the heavens and earth. It was only after suppressing the Heavenly Sun Elder that the Lord of the Underworld realized how to grasp the Mother Scripture. If the matter of the Sun Mother Scripture had been spread out, the Heavenly Sun Elder would have been killed long ago. This scripture was of great significance to the most terrifying giants in the world. Even if they couldn't use it, they could use it to perfect their path to invincibility. The scripture is incomplete. It's not complete. Su Yan's primordial spirit felt something, and he was amazed at Old Man Tian Yang's talent. He could cultivate the incomplete Sun Mother Sutra to such a crucial point. It was truly terrifying. "Senior, how can we help you?" "We can help you escape," Baokai roared. In short, they were powerless to break the formation protecting the reincarnation medicine. Perhaps they could borrow the power of Old Man Tianyang to destroy the formation here. No matter how Baokai called out to him, the Heavenly Sun Elder did not respond. To him, Su Yan and Tai Baokai were too weak. They were of no help at all. This old man probably wants to be freed. Baokai gritted his teeth. The other party did not even care about him. If he continued, he would only be asking for trouble. Su Yan was silent for a while before he suddenly roared. The primordial spirit sitting cross-legged in his sea of consciousness suddenly shone brightly. He recited the Sun Mother Scripture, and it reverberated in the ears of the Heavenly Sun Elder. Almost instantly, the Heavenly Sun Elder, whose chi and blood had dried up, trembled violently. He looked at Su Yan with his hollow eyes. He even saw that Su Yan's forehead was shining. It was as if a Sun Saint Emperor was sitting in it and reciting the Mother Scripture. The complete Mother Scripture. His cultivation was exceedingly high. What he learned was beyond Su Yan's imagination. After a slight taste, he was completely moved. He had spent a long time searching and searching for the complete chapter of the Sun Mother Scripture, but he could not find it. However, he did not expect this young man to have the complete chapter. "Young man, what are your conditions?" The Heavenly Sun Elder's voice was extremely hoarse. His messy hair covered his face. He saw hope. If he could shake off the Black Lotus shackles, there was hope for him to kill his way out. Su Yan was silent for a while before he said, "The Flame Emperor said that you can trust me." "Flame Emperor?" The Heavenly Sun Elder was slightly stunned. Then, his pair of turbid eyes saw the great battle outside. He clenched his fists tightly and exclaimed, "Is this karma? Ha 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 ha!" A million years ago, the Celestial Court's branch collapsed. The Xianwang heavenly domain changed. This lineage was almost wiped out from the world. That was the immeasurable massacre calamity that swept across the immortal land. Blood seemed to have dyed the entire heavenly domain red. The entire world trembled, and all the major immortal sects chose to remain silent. In the chaotic era, more than a dozen pinnacle immortal sects joined forces to besiege the Celestial Court. A bloody battle that lasted more than 100 years had unfolded. Back then, a group of surviving experts from the Celestial Court led their remaining forces to hide in the immortal heavenly domain. Under the situation back then, no one dared to lend them a helping hand. The entire world remained silent and did not dare to help the Celestial Court. However, the Flame Emperor remembered that the Heavenly Sun Elder had helped them in private. Not only the Heavenly Sun Elder, but some terrifying primogenitor experts had also helped them. They used to have a deep relationship with the Celestial Court. In the chaotic era back then, even the Heavenly Sun Elder and the others' meager efforts were like charcoal in snowy weather when the Celestial Court was in a bloodbath. The Heavenly Sun Elder laughed continuously. His unyielding battle spirit was ignited. The ferocious aura that had once disappeared was released. He let out a deep roar, "Help me escape. I want to kill all my enemies. Even if I die in battle, I want to die standing." The sky was filled with hatred, affecting the heavens and earth. The Heavenly Sun Elder was like a demon that was imprisoned in purgatory. His aura was too wild and crazy. He used to be a world-shocking sky pride. He used to be one of the top 10 overlords in the Emperor Road. Even after a long time, his battle spirit had not dried up. Instead, it burned as much as it wanted. A terrifying aura of time appeared behind him. It was the image of billions of living beings worshipping him. How could a primogenitor who founded a great sect be weak? Su Yan's primordial spirit kept chanting the Mother Sun Scripture. Of course, he couldn't give the entire scripture to the Heavenly Sun Elder. However, even a large portion of the scripture was hard to come by. It was a great fortune for a primogenitor expert. Rumble, the place where the reincarnation elixir grew, had all sorts of changes. The entire world was filled with the sound of scripture chanting. An incomplete scripture shone and was being reconstructed. It caused the Heavenly Sun Elder's primordial spirit to become even more terrifying. The Black Lotus that was pressing down on his head started to shake violently. Surging yang qi rushed out with the power of the Mother Sun Scripture. It kept suppressing the Black Lotus. There were even some mixed lights that covered his body. From this moment onwards, the flesh shell that had lost his control for a long time started to shine with boundless light in silence. "I'm going to break through and kill everyone in the underworld. Kill, kill, kill." The Heavenly Sun Elder roared continuously, shaking the sky. His ancient body shone wildly. The black chains started to twist, and the Supreme Order Tao engraved on them started to tremble. It was as if the chains were about to be broken by the Heavenly Sun Elder's strength. So strong. Baokai was scared. The Heavenly Sun Elder had been imprisoned here for so many years. His chi and blood had long dried up. However, now that his primordial spirit had regained control of his physical body, he was actually able to unleash such a shocking strength. Su Yen was not surprised. Just by thinking about the Kuan Peng's corpse, he knew how powerful this kind of person was. If his mother-son scripture was further perfected, his combat strength might increase by a notch. However, the prerequisite was that he could recuperate and recover from his injuries. Su Yan's heart was thumping wildly. He was a little nervous. Bao Kai was also very anxious. Although the Flame Emperor said that the Heavenly Sun Elder could be trusted, the rebirth medicine was right in front of him. For an old expert with a weak chi and blood, the rebirth medicine would be of great help to him. Would he really not be tempted to swallow it? Su Yen felt that this was a huge gamble. The Flame Emperor asked him to trust the Heavenly Sun Elder. How confident was he? Of course, even in the worst-case scenario, if the Heavenly Sun Elder really swallowed the rebirth medicine, it would still be better than falling into the hands of the Lord of the Underworld. Su Yen had saved his life and given him a chance to live. Moreover, this chance was too important for the Heavenly Sun Elder. Boom! The Heavenly Sun Elder continued to wake up from his slumber. In the end, he shocked the seal placed at the place where the rebirth medicine grew. The incarnation of the Lord of the Underworld appeared and suppressed the Heavenly Sun Elder cruelly. Ha 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 ha, bring it on! The Heavenly Sun Elder seemed to have gone mad as he roared wildly. Even though his body was riddled with holes, he still exuded an undying and indestructible aura. He was truly unyielding and domineering. Bam! His primordial spirit shone brightly, causing the Black Lotus to shatter. The black chains forged from the essence also started to break apart inch by inch. A terrifying aura spread out. The giant that had been imprisoned for thousands of years had awakened. Divine light surged out, causing the entire domain to tremble. There were even black cracks appearing. This is too crazy! Bao Kai shouted excitedly. He did not expect the Heavenly Sun Elder to be so shocking. He could still erupt with such terrifying strength despite his weak state. At this moment, the energy of the Lord of the Underworld descended and turned into supreme order and killing intent, suppressing the Heavenly Sun Elder. Dong! The Heavenly Sun Elder stomped on the universe, causing the entire ancient ground to crack. The soil where the rebirth medicine grew was so tough that it was terrifying. The entire soil broke away from the soil layer and was blasted into the sky. Then, under Su Yan's fanatical gaze, the Heavenly Sun Elder punched the rebirth medicine, sending it flying out into the outside world. A huge meat pie fell from the sky. Bao Kai felt a little dizzy. The rebirth soil flew out, planted the rebirth medicine on it, and rushed out into the outside world. It bared its teeth and trembled with excitement. At this moment, Su Yen sensed danger. He found it hard to believe. It was just a medicine. The danger came from the rebirth medicine. It was already evolving and blooming with rebirth light rain, but it was also a source of endless terror. Su Yan's scalp was about to explode. This medicine was too terrifying. When it bloomed, the sky collapsed, and countless cracks appeared. Even the heavens exploded, and a terrifying rain of reincarnation light sprinkled down. Su Yan's mouth and nose glowed as he swallowed a few mouthfuls. This made Bao Kai anxious. Su Yen was courting death. Although this was an ultimate treasure medicine, it was a fatal poison to people in their realm. Ah! After swallowing a few mouthfuls, Su Yen felt as if his flesh was about to explode. His life seemed to be leaping forward crazily, as if he had crossed the long path of cultivation and become a supreme war god. Bao Cai's eyes widened. It could not hold back and swallowed a few mouthfuls of rebirth light. Am I going to become a primal ancestor? Bao Kai felt that it was shocking and glorious. Its body was filled with endless energy, and the blood in its body drowned the sea of stars. Chapter 1652. The reincarnation herb was no longer limited to half a moo of the herb field. It broke free from the layout and rushed toward the outside world. In an instant it bloomed and glowed. The scene was extremely terrifying. It was as if the number one herb in the world had appeared out of nowhere. It rushed out of the rain of reincarnation light and caused the sky to explode. The sun, moon, and stars all fell. The heavenly sun province also welcomed a terrifying change. The large province shook violently. The mountains and the earth rumbled, and countless volcanoes trembled. What's that? At the same time, the experts who were watching the battle in the distant provinces were shocked. The vast heavenly sun province seemed to have exploded. Earth and rocks rolled and lava filled the sky. The space beyond the heavens was filled with flames. The phenomenon was shocking. From this moment onwards, a herb shone and evolved toward maturity. In a short period of time, it stole the fortune of heaven and earth, causing the energy of the entire heavenly sun province to rapidly dry up. The entire province dimmed, and even the nearby provinces were affected. Crack, almost silently, the vast territory collapsed. The vast heavenly sun province seemed to have been reduced to a wasteland. The starry sky was silent, the essence chi dried up, the trees withered, and the volcanoes dried up, an extremely terrifying and strange change. The universe was heading toward death. The energy required for a herb to bloom was beyond the comprehension of the world. The land of the heavenly sun province collapsed. It was pitch black, and the scene was terrifying. Only one herb shone brightly. After all, it was no longer limited to the heavenly sun sect. In the past, the Lord of the Underworld attacked the heavenly sun sect to use the power of the entire immortal sect to cultivate and mature the reincarnation herb. As time passed, the heavenly sun sect's energy had dried up. However, the Lord of the Underworld could not allow the reincarnation herb to bloom. Otherwise, it would attract the attention of all the experts in the world. This peerless herb would not have been discovered only now. Now, the reincarnation herb filled the sky and bloomed with a vast rain of reincarnation light. Moreover, the entire ancient herb was covered with billions of reincarnation runes, showing the shocking scene of the 6 paths of reincarnation descending into the world. It was difficult to imagine how terrifying it was. Reincarnation herb, a loud roar reverberated between heaven and earth. The eyes of all the experts who came to participate were red. This was the legendary reincarnation herb. It had matured and bloomed. The most crucial moment had arrived. Rumble, the 9 bends space-time formation began to tremble violently. One after another, the ancestors went berserk. Even the majestic formation could not withstand it and was about to collapse. Oh no, the faces of the 2 fugitives who controlled the 9 tunes space-time formation sank. The reincarnation elixir had finally appeared, but the Flame Emperor had yet to obtain it. If a group of primogenitor realm experts charged over, it would be impossible for them to obtain it. Reincarnation medicine, the 6 golden immortal experts roared with excitement. The place where the reincarnation elixirs bloomed wasn't far from them, and the light of reincarnation that filled the sky was already surging over. While it wasn't the chi of origin of the reincarnation elixir, it contained the miraculous medicinal potency of the reincarnation elixir. In an instant, the 6 grand heavenly immortals were nourished and imperceptibly became much more terrifying, as if they were beginning to evolve towards the supreme beings. Only the Flame Emperor had his pores tightly shut and would not absorb any energy. She had her own path and Tao. She wouldn't use the reincarnation medicine to advance her evolution because her current realm was very special. She was only a step away from being a primogenitor. Moreover, the legendary rebirth elixir wasn't that easy to refine. Even primogenitor realm experts would have to think twice before using it. As expected, the bodies of the 6 seemingly powerful grand heavenly immortals shuddered violently as if they were struck by lightning from the 9 heavens. Their life aura fell into the ancient land in an extremely short period of time. Break for me. The Flame Emperor's charm was unparalleled. She raised both her palms at the same time, and two concentrated immortal flame runes appeared in the center of her palms. In an instant, the samsara wheel of life and death trembled violently. Arg! One of the grand heavenly immortals exploded. Because they were in a weakened state, and under the influence of the reincarnation elixir, their situation was especially bad. The other 5 grand heavenly immortals were also severely injured. They were terrified. The samsara wheel of life and death was blasted away by the Flame Emperor. She had also charged out, and with her jade-like palms, she destroyed the grand heavenly immortals of the underworld one after another. These 2 brats are also stirring up trouble. Don't they know what this is? The Flame Emperor was a little anxious because Su Yen and Tai Baokai had both swallowed the essence of the reincarnation elixir. How could they bear it? In truth, in this short period of time, Su Yen and Tai Baokai felt as if they had undergone a crazy evolution and become stronger. Unknowingly, they had become 100 times stronger. This shocked them. This elixir was truly frightening. However, in the next moment they fell into the purgatory of death. It was painful and unbearable, and their life aura dried up. The gates of death opened for them, and welcomed them in. Let's go. Leave this place. Su Yen could not bear it any longer. With a slap, he sent Tai Baokai flying. Arg! Su Yen roared in pain. He hugged his head with both hands, and felt as if his entire body was about to explode. However, at the crucial moment, his chest shone. The samsara miniature person was resurrected. It was like a living being, and also like the samsara seal that only existed in legend. It was blazing and surging as it madly absorbed the reincarnation elixir's medicinal effects. Brat, are you crazy? The Baokai turned pale. It felt as if it had been poisoned. It was extremely painful and unbearable. Fortunately, Su Yen had sent it flying. The consequences of the latter would have been unimaginable. Even the Baokai felt that although its life force had dried up, it felt that its divine power was extremely pure because of the reincarnation elixir's baptism. The gates to treasures had also been opened in its physical body. Unknowingly, its life essence had become much stronger. The Baokai could not help but tremble, as expected of an ultimate treasure elixir. However, this thing was not suitable for absorbing too much. Just a little of the reincarnation elixir's medicinal effects were already the limit of what it could bear. One had to know that this elixir was not completely mature. The Baokai was alarmed. Now, Su Yen was crazily seizing the elixir. It was also being tortured to the point of insanity. It was sometimes strong, sometimes weak, sometimes old, and sometimes young. Su Yan's physical body was ruptured, and it looked like it was riddled with holes. Roar! In the end, Su Yen let out a loud roar. His body crashed through the void and rushed to the top of the sky. His physical body shone and completely changed. It carried the might of the cycle of life and death. It was as if a reincarnated body was born. It emitted an ancient and majestic aura. It was powerful and shocking. The Baokai quivered. Su Yan's physique was very strange. It was as if there were 10,000 bodies buried in his physical body. Could it be that Su Yen could borrow the medicinal effects of the reincarnation elixir to further open the shackles of his physical body and blast out the strongest treasure of his ancient physique to fuse with it? What kind of physique does this kid have? The Yen Emperor was shocked. She had already dealt with 6 grand heavenly experts and was closing in on Su Yen. However, she realized that Su Yan's transformation was a little frightening. A moment ago, he was still a reincarnated body. In the next moment, he turned into a Zhang 6 golden body. There was a terrifying pressure of time. It was as if an ancient Buddha had returned to this world from the long river of time. What was this? Why was there such an unbelievable transformation? Could it be related to the reincarnation elixir? Or could it be related to him? Arg! Su Yen screamed. He was like a berserk chaos devil king. He soared into the sky, burrowed into the ground, and soared into the sky. What the hell is this? Su Yen cried out in pain. His body was extremely hot, as if it was being burned. In the end, his head grew out one after another, and his arms grew out one after another. 3 heads and 6 arms. It was an extremely ancient physique that had not appeared in the cultivation world for a long time. Now, Su Yen had turned into 3 heads and 6 arms. The effect of the reincarnation elixir was too great. Su Yen seemed to be maturing along with the reincarnation elixir. In the next moment, his entire body shone with 5-colored divine light and rushed to the top of the firmament. In the end, the scattered stars in the sky were brushed down. It was as if everything in the world was rolling down with Su Yen. 5-colored immortal physique, the flaming emperor was dumbfounded. This was the legendary physique that was said to be able to brush down everything. However, he only took a quick glance. The medicinal effect of the reincarnation elixir was rather special and powerful. It caused Su Yan's physique to change continuously. At the same time, the ancient light of qi and blood that surged out of his body became denser. He was like an ancient person who had lived for a long time. His aura swallowed the world and replaced the heavens. This was the extremely terrifying celestial devouring physique. It even turned into the heaven-ascending immortal physique, and a series of other supreme physique. Su Yen evolved one after another. Of course, there was one thing that was extremely important. Every time a terrifying physique was evolved, an ancient rune would flash in Su Yan's flesh shell. It looked like a supreme rune of the great Tao. Unbelievable! How can this be? The flaming emperor was silent. Su Yan's transformation was quite shocking. Countless physiques appeared, including the strongest physiques in the heavens. What was his origin? Runes of the great Tao of physique have formed in his body. Each rune corresponds to a different physique. The flaming emperor was a little shocked. He muttered to himself, then, the great heavenly emperor's influence on the universe should be able to evolve the physique that was extinct in the ancient celestial court, the primitive battle physique. However, Su Yen did not evolve this physique. Perhaps that person was too terrifying. His path was basically unreplicable and would not appear a second time. It was too difficult for his descendants to form and appear. The flaming emperor was really looking forward to seeing what Su Yan's ultimate physique would evolve into. Previously, Su Yan was prepared to shatter all physiques and merge them into one. Now that the reincarnation elixir was activated, it gave Su Yan a great opportunity to evolve. He might really be able to complete it in a short time. Roar! Su Yan roared towards the sky. His aura swallowed the 33 heavens. His flesh shell stretched out and swallowed the primal force of the universe. Tens of thousands of golden immortal gates were born in his flesh shell. They seemed to have evolved from the treasures in his body. Vaguely, a terrifying heaven burial aura appeared. As the reincarnation elixir bloomed, it started to shake violently. Heaven burial, earth burial, reincarnation burial. Suddenly, a vast syllable appeared, shaking the entire undying heavenly domain. It was like a syllable that reverberated from the ancient times. Every syllable was like the suppression of the heavens, suppressing countless living beings and sweeping across the entire undying heavenly domain. Even the group of primogenitor experts in the Nine-Tunes space-time formation were shocked. Who was speaking? It shook the past, present, and future. My child, wake up now. This voice appeared again, too strange and indistinct. It was unknown what era it came from, but it exploded in this world, rumbling with noise, shaking up all creatures in the heavens. Fourth update. Chapter 1653. It was like an echo from the ancient times, reverberating through the long river of time, shaking the universe era after universe era until it was transmitted to this era. The whole world trembled. The entire undying heavenly domain was stirred up, shaking all the immortal sects and sections. The ancestral halls of the ancient clans were rumbling, and the ancestral statues that were enshrined in the ancestral halls were awakened, resonating with the ancient voice. What was that? The voice was strange and ethereal, it was hard to hear clearly. When they tried to recall, they realized that they could not remember anything, as if they had never heard it before. The strange incident shocked the world, and now, the whole universe was paying attention to the battle of hell. It involved the most terrifying battle in the universe, and it was equivalent to a battle of fate between orthodoxies. It would most likely change the future of undying heavenly domain. The 9-song space-time array was about to explode, and many ancestors were shocked. Someone whispered, "Who's talking?" It was hard to tell where the voice came from, but it reverberated in the big and small regions. Vaguely, the vast undying heavenly domain trembled, and even the big and small universes in the void resonated with it. It was a shocking event, but the situation was too grand, and even the ancestors could not see the whole picture. This is, in the mysterious yellow universe, in the environment of the world where the undying godly power emanated, the mysterious skeleton was suddenly awakened in a space-time crack. His expression changed. Could it be that he was still alive? "This is unbelievable," he exclaimed, but his injuries were too severe, and he could not use his skills to find out the truth. "They are coming out, at this moment." The 2 wanted fugitives of the Celestial Court who controlled the 9-song space-time array were solemn. Without any hesitation, they left through the array. They had tried their best, and as for what would happen next, they could only leave it to the battle recorded in history to explain. Roar! The most terrifying scene was the scene of gods and demons dancing. The vast sea of stars evaporated, and the space outside the universe trembled violently, forming a universe black hole. The vast void collapsed and shattered into pieces. One after another, the primal ancestors went crazy. The rebirth elixir was so close to them that it was almost within their reach. That stalk of medicine had already fully bloomed, surging with a boundless rain of reincarnation light. The ancient reincarnation medicine released divine light, making this starry sky forever silent, making the entire great province be destroyed, to the extent where an even more vast world was created. The people of the world were shocked. The amount of energy needed to nurture an ultimate precious medicine was unimaginable. It was even more vast and ridiculous than the amount needed to enter the ancestral realm. After all, this was its final evolution. The amount of resources consumed in the early stages was unimaginable. The world phenomena triggered by the ripening of the reincarnation medicine were terrifying. They contained an extremely powerful energy field and a supreme order of the great Tao. Thus, no one noticed a young man that was resonating as the reincarnation medicine bloomed. Roar! Su Yen roared towards the sky. His black hair fluttered about chaotically, and his ancient and world-shocking flesh shell shone. Tens of thousands of divine and devil symbols surged out, causing the world to rumble and almost explode into pieces. One had to understand that this was the land where reincarnation medicine bloomed. The heaven and earth were firm and difficult to destroy. However, the aura released from Su Yan's flesh shell was too strong. Tens of thousands of demonic symbols filled the air, rumbling as they revolved. It was as if 10,000 demonic gods were going to emerge from the flesh shell. "Su Yen," Baokai cried out loudly. He was anxious and uneasy. He felt that Su Yan's state was too strange and that he could die at any time. He had swallowed too much of the reincarnation medicine's effect. Although it was only the energy essence that leaked out, this was an ultimate precious medicine. Just the divine power order that leaked out was enough to be called the most terrifying secret medicine under ultimate precious medicine. Boom! Su Yan's flesh shell blazed. Tens of thousands of demonic and divine lights danced with him. Everything originated from his ancient constitution. Tens of thousands of golden immortal doors bloomed, corresponding to his body's treasure door. There were imprints of ancient demonic and divine characters within. This change in constitution was rather frightening and unimaginable. Under the nourishment of the reincarnation medicine, my body was buried and 10,000 bodies were nurtured in one go. However, Su Yan's situation was difficult to bear. His flesh was about to explode, and blood rushed into the sky. This was the embodiment of death. Mother Sun Sutra, protect my primordial spirit. Beginning Sutra, bloom and reconstruct my body. I want to break through everything and cultivate the strongest body. Su Yan roared. The power of the demonic and divine reincarnation was being released through his flesh shell. However, once it was fully released, Su Yan might die of exhaustion and exhaust his body's strength. There was no other way. The speed of evolution was too fast. Su Yan couldn't maintain his current state. Mother Sun Sutra, Yen Emperor was shocked. Su Yan's forehead was blazing. Mother Sun Sutra symbols filled the sky and opened up the sacred sun domain. The strongest primordial spirit sat cross-legged and suppressed the unstable body. It turned into the Mother Sun lamp that guided the great Tao and illuminated the path ahead. As the beginning sutra circulated, the scripture's envelope expanded and evolved into a terrifying scripture order. Su Yan's body fell into a state of chaos. It was as if he had turned into the world's most terrifying eye of chaos, encompassing tens of thousands of golden immortal door treasure space. In a short period of time, Su Yan had resolved the crisis. However, he could feel the terrifying aura of bury the heavens rumbling in his mortal body. His face was filled with astonishment as the heaven and earth seemed to have changed. He could feel a shadow watching him, filling up the entire undying heavenly domain. The sea of stars in the skies coiled around his hair. The shadow was too blurry and affected the entire world. It was like a figure formed by the strongest laws and order. He couldn't see it clearly. However, for some unknown reason, Su Yan felt extremely close to this frightening figure. He really wanted to get closer to it. However, it seemed that he was too weak and could not see its essence clearly. He could only see an outline that was difficult for ordinary people to imagine. He couldn't calm down and quickly recovered from the shock. He tried to complete the final breakthrough and reconstruct the strength of his body. However, Su Yan realized that the strength of the physique that had been matured by the reincarnation medicine was too terrifying and majestic. It was difficult to gather and break through the shackles. *T. Su Yan's eyes were like lightning. After bathing in the essence of the reincarnation medicine, he had gained great benefits. However, he was also in a terrible predicament. Now Su Yan had slowly recovered. His vital energy and blood were excessively exuberant, and he was much more terrifying than before. He shocked the heavens and the earth and revealed a supreme pressure. It was as if he had forged the body of a Daluo. However, because of his terrifying foundation, Su Yan had combined all his strength into one. Heaven-defying, too heaven-defying. Baokai was trembling. The vitality light in Su Yan's body was too dense. It formed an ancient dragon roaring with its head raised. It was terrifying. The Yen Emperor stared. He was just a true immortal. Why was there such a dense vitality? It burned the world until it was as black as ink. It didn't make sense. It can't be the legendary golden immortal realm, right? The Yen Emperor was shocked. This was just a legend. Of course, since it was a legend, it meant that this special realm had existed before. A golden immortal in the true immortal realm was many times more terrifying than a void immortal in the immortal realm. According to the ancient books, once one had the qualifications to become a golden immortal, one could directly ascend to the Daluo golden immortal realm. One could imagine how shocking this would be. It would truly lay an unbelievable foundation. Similarly, on the path of life essence evolution, one would walk towards a legendary realm. The golden immortal realm was an invincible realm. It was said that this special realm was so heaven-defying that one could compete with a Daluo expert. However, it only existed in legends. Even the Yen Emperor couldn't be sure if Su Yen was the legendary golden immortal. Immortal! It's matured, countless living beings roared. The emotions of the experts were surging. It was a great fortune to be able to witness the maturation of the ultimate treasure medicine. At this moment, the reincarnation medicine was undergoing its final breakthrough. This medicine had completely transformed. The fragrance of the medicine spread for hundreds of millions of miles. In the instant of the ultimate sublimation, the surrounding 10 great regions dimmed and declined at the same time. Essence chi was lost, and the place fell into darkness. It was so dark that one couldn't even see one's own fingers. There was no doubt that the energy foundation required was too majestic. However, in this brief and boundless darkness, the reincarnation medicine shone brilliantly. This medicine tore apart the universe's sea of stars and released the strongest order and rules. It was like the reincarnation holy man who lived in legend. It spewed out billions of reincarnation heavenly light. Boom! At the same time, the 9 songs space-time formation exploded. The eyes of a group of primogenitor experts turned red. They let out shocking roars or took out all kinds of treasures and crossed over to the great region where the reincarnation medicine was. The heavens and earth were overturned, and the sun and moon wailed. The darkness was completely illuminated. A group of primogenitor experts charged over and destroyed everything. At the same time, everything was buried. The corner of immortality had truly sunk. Su Yen roared at the sky. He wore the Daluo silver essence battle armor and had the 9 heavenly cauldrons above his head. The heaven-opening brush floated in his palm. He could be said to be armed to the teeth. He charged toward the matured reincarnation medicine and tried to suppress it and take it away. "Hurry, Lord Su, hurry up," Baokai roared. Su Yen only had 10 breaths of time. If they could take it away, they could still leave this place alive. Otherwise, they would have to give up on escaping. Just as Su Yen was infinitely close to the reincarnation medicine, the entire space-time fell into a standstill. Oh no, Su Yan's hair stood on end. The heavens and earth had been locked down. He had yet to see who it was. He only sensed the vast space-time power sinking. The void sank, and even he was trembling. The Daluo silver essence battle armor that covered his flesh was shattering layer by layer. Scram! The instant death enveloped Su Yen. Billions of divine flames filled the air. The Flame Emperor waved his jade-like palm and conjured an earth-shattering capacity. The immortal refining furnace appeared in his palm and blasted toward the terrifying figure in the space-time. Even so, Su Yen spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Baokai reacted quickly and caught Su Yen. However, it was also shaken. A few of its bones were broken. Bastard! Su Yan's face was ashen. He was almost finished just now. Even the Daluo silver essence battle armor was almost destroyed. It must be the work of a primogenitor. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so terrifying. After all, it was just the pressure of a primogenitor descending. Old man Tongtian. Su Yen gritted his teeth. It must be this old monster. He actually came out. Why is it this green-furred tortoise? Baotsai's fat face fell. Although the young master Tongtian was not a top-tier primogenitor, he was still a primogenitor who controlled the heavenly bridge. If he came, would the Flame Emperor be able to stop him? If he really took the reincarnation medicine, then with old man Tongtian's mastery of spacetime, he might be able to escape. "Junior, you can't do it," old man Tongtian sneered. He had been here for a long time and had been waiting. His figure was a little blurry, but the space-time power that surged from him was too shocking. Vaguely, there was a terrifying order that caused the space-time of the heavenly domain to tremble as it attacked the Flame Emperor. That's the green-furred tortoise's true form. Call Sister Fairy out and kill him. Baokai shouted savagely. Chapter 1654. Su Yen smiled bitterly. This was the immortal heavenly domain, not the Emperor Road. Dao Shi could come if he called her real name in the Emperor Road, but not here. Dao Shi was limited to the Emperor Road. The laws of space-time intertwined, causing the space-time of the heavenly domain to rumble. This was almost the ultimate power of the universe. It was powerful beyond compare. Rolling down with great power, it wanted to suppress the flaming emperor. My good fortune, old man Tongtian roared in joy. He did not put the flaming emperor in his eyes. His goal was to snatch the rebirth herb. He had already reached out a huge hand to suppress the rebirth herb. In the process, his palm was as big as the starry sky, covering the sky and earth. It even covered the light of the rebirth herb. Roar! The strange turn of events caused a group of primogeniture experts who were infinitely close to their destination to panic. Who dug out the rebirth herb? Who? They could not reach their destination in an instant. If there was really a primogeniture expert suppressing the rebirth herb, they could leave this place in a short time. If old man Tongtian was hiding in the void of spacetime, it would be too difficult to find him. No one expected someone to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. The timing of old man Tongtian's attack was too precise. Some suspected that he had already found the rebirth herb. Otherwise, why would he stand out when the herb was ripe? Boom! The sky was filled with burning energy. Groups of primogenitors charged forward. Along the way, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. It was really destructive. It swept across the universe and rushed into the space-time beyond the heavens. Who could withstand the terrifying creatures running in the sky? The grand heavenly experts who dominated a region were terrified. They crawled on the ground and shivered, worried that they would be killed by the big shots running in the sky. Now, the whole world was focused on the rebirth herb. No one cared about anything else. Boom! A deafening explosion resounded. A blurry projection of an immortal furnace appeared on the jade palm that was coiled with a myriad of divine flames, and it revealed strands of supreme laws of order. It instantly collapsed the light of the laws of space and time that covered the sky. Suppress, the flaming emperor's eyes were wide open. She was peerless. The image of the immortal furnace projected from her palm was infinitely enlarged. It showed the dense heavenly light of order. In an instant it was countless times more majestic, with the laws as the furnace and order as the fire. This was the power of the immortal smelting furnace. It sealed the heavens and the earth, burned the universe into pieces, and incinerated all things. Could it be that the Flame Emperor possesses the battle prowess of a primogenitor? Baokai stuttered. One had to know that she was facing old man Tongtian. But now, the Flame Emperor was suppressing old man Tongtian with an unparalleled technique. She had to admit that this was too domineering. This was the invincible Flame Emperor. It seems to be a divine ability. With the help of the heaven-opening writing brush, Su Yen could see even more clearly. The huge immortal furnace was formed by the interweaving of boundless order and laws. It could refine immortals and demons in the heavens. It contained terrifying profundities and order power, which made the Flame Emperor's aura infinitely close to that of the primogenitors. Clang! The terrifying immortal furnace descended from the heavens, swallowing old man Heavenspan into the furnace and burning him with endless flames and order. In fact, all of this happened in an extremely short period of time. The immortal cauldron, which could burn everything, filled the entire world. The immortal cauldron gushed with the power of the universe, making the flames of the cauldron burn even brighter, suppressing old man Tongtian. All of you leave this place immediately. At the same time, the Flame Emperor also issued a warning. After all, she was facing a primogeniture expert. She used her most terrifying divine ability to suppress him temporarily, hoping that Su Yen and the rest would leave this place quickly. The situation here was already beyond the control of a primogeniture expert. A group of terrifying primogenitor experts was about to attack. If they did not leave now, the consequences would be unimaginable. Let's go. Su Yen did not hesitate at all. In such a situation, true immortals were nothing, not even ashes. However, a burst of mournful and sinister laughter exploded. The entire Tianyang region suddenly fell into a state of stillness. It was as if time and years had fallen into an eternal silence. Boom! The heavens and earth changed. It was as if a long river of time and space had appeared, spanning hundreds of millions of miles, filling the entire region. It surged with supreme laws and order, and its aura was shocking and boundless. Not good, it's the sky-crossing bridge. Baokai was shocked. This was a huge stone bridge that filled the heavens and earth. The vast and mighty laws and orders sealed the entire region. Break for me. At the same time, Old Man Tongtian's main body crashed through the immortal furnace and appeared. His killing intent surged like a raging sea. This was especially so when Old Man Tongtian's aura merged with the sky-crossing bridge. His aura was imperceptibly terrifying. At this moment, Old Man Tongtian was worthy of being called a primogenitor expert. What a sky-crossing bridge! As expected of a priceless treasure in the domain of time and space. The Flame Emperor's expression was cold, but she did not panic. Old Man Tongtian's mournful eyes were fixed on Su Yen. He was laughing. In the end, his laughter turned into a furious roar. You ant! You killed my disciple! You killed my disciple! His roar split the heavens. Time and space turned blood-red. His killing intent was so dense that he wanted to slaughter billions of lives with a single thought. I'll grind your bones to dust and taste all the torture in the world. Su Yen felt a chill run down his spine. The bone-piercing killing intent was about to kill him thousands of times in an instant. It was clear to see how furious Old Man Tongtian was. Although Old Man Tongtian did not know who the invincible giant who had targeted him back then was, but ever since he crawled out of the heaven and earth stone embryo, he heard a piece of bad news. His disciple, young Master Tongtian, was killed in the Emperor Road before the top 100 competition even started. What was even more laughable was that his disciple was killed by the young Devil King. A rising star who had destroyed the celestial court had killed the disciple he was so proud of. This caused Old Man Heavenspan to go mad with hatred. What a humiliation! In the past, he had bragged about how amazing his disciple was, but if young Master Heavenspan had been killed by the progeny of the immortal tribe, Old Man Heavenspan wouldn't say anything. But more importantly, he was killed by a rising star who had destroyed the celestial court. To Old Man Tongtian, this was like being slapped by a beggar. It was a great humiliation. Old Man Tongtian could not tolerate this. He roared like a beast. One could imagine how furious he was. Old Man Tongtian, you talk big. Do you really think that the celestial court has no experts? Flaming Emperor was furious. Standing on top of billions of divine flames, she said coldly, "You're still not at the level of Daozu. Take back your words, or I'll destroy your Tongtian lineage." Flaming Emperor stood on top of mountains and rivers, surrounded by billions of divine flames. At this moment, she was majestic. She was now a god of war standing on top of endless divine flames. Old Man Tongtian laughed. I may not be Daozu, but I'm still unstoppable. Why would I be afraid of the celestial court? Now that I've killed him and taken the rebirth elixir, what can you do to me? Moreover, as thanks, I'll let him die an easy death. Old Man Tongtian laughed. The reason he knew where the rebirth elixir grew was mainly because of the Tongtian halberd that Su Yen wielded. The reason for this treasure was that he was the first owner. Back in his old nest, Old Man Tongtian was in danger of dying. Even now, he was still severely injured and had not fully recovered. He had a feeling that if he did not get the super tonic, his injuries would worsen and wither. Therefore, Old Man Tongtian was determined to get the rebirth elixir. However, he was in despair when facing the situation in the underworld. With so many experts of the same generation standing out to fight for hegemony, Old Man Tongtian, who was severely injured, had no right to participate. However, he did not expect to find Su Yan's tracks by accident. He followed him all the way here and did not expect to find the rebirth elixir here. He was really lucky. Boom! The Tongtian Bridge sealed the region. Supreme laws and order flowed out and suppressed Su Yan. Su Yan pointed at Old Man Tongtian and roared, "You old dog, you don't have any dignity as an expert. Back then, I killed your disciple. What can you do to me? Aren't you like a dog, hiding and howling in pain?" Su Yan's words were like thunder from the 9 heavens. Even heaven and earth lost their color. Like a dog, Old Man Tongtian was so angry that he almost exploded. His heart and lungs were trembling, and his hair was dancing wildly. His body's energy surged and tore the universe apart. However, Su Yan's words caused Old Man Tongtian to be alarmed. Could it be that the expert who wanted to kill him back then was Su Yan's backer? He knew very well how terrifying that existence was. It had to be one of the most terrifying experts in the world. If he had not hidden in the heaven and earth stone embryo to avoid disaster, he would not have survived. If he really came, who could stand against him? What's the point of wasting time? Call a mortal sister out and kill this green-furred tortoise. Baokai roared. He wanted to scare Old Man Tongtian away. They still had some time. Although the progenitor's aura in the distance had caused the entire Tianyang province to tremble violently, they still had a chance. All of you must die. Old Man Tongtian was furious. Old Man Tongtian was furious. He had made a decision in an instant. Without the reincarnation medicine, he would just sit there and wait for death. He might as well kill them all, pluck the reincarnation medicine, and hide in the void. He did not believe that thousands of years later, with the help of the reincarnation medicine, he would not be able to attain Daozu's terrifying realm. This old thing has gone mad, Baokai was terrified. Young Master Tongtian had thrown caution to the wind. He had even forgotten about the Dao Shi. He had gone mad and was ready to stake everything. As long as he could dig out the reincarnation medicine, he might be able to look down on the world in the future. Boom. He held the heavenly bridge in one hand and pressed down on Su Yan and the other two. His other hand stretched out and pressed down on the reincarnation medicine. At the same time, Old Man Tongtian's aura was fully released. The boundless space-time rain poured down and paved a grand path. The light of Daozu was burning at the end. It was extremely bright and reflected the heavenly region's space-time to form his huge Dharma idol. The day I attain Daozu will be the day I destroy the celestial court. Old Man Tongtian was shouting his ambitions. One had to admit that his conviction was peerlessly strong. "Old dog, you have no chance," Su Yan let out a fanatical cry. He had caught a familiar aura. It was extremely far away. However, this aura came too quickly. It came from afar, and in the end it was extremely terrifying. Boom! In an instant, the space-time outside the heavens collapsed. The scene inside was too terrifying. The person had not arrived yet, but the vast divine might had already swept over. It was like the projection of another universe that covered the entire Tianyang province. "Big Brother is here," Baokai roared. It was an extremely familiar aura. It could be said that their guardian had arrived at the most crucial moment and entered the battlefield in the most terrifying manner. All of a sudden, a powerful heavenly might surged, and a tall figure with messy hair suddenly pounced over from the distant world with a rumble. Along the way, an enormous black hole appeared in the sky. The figure that was rushing over was too terrifying. Before the main body even reached the heavenly sun province, a powerful aura had already scattered down, accompanied by an incomparably grand fist that descended from the sky. No, old man Tongtian was so terrified that his hair stood on end. He was in despair. Boom! In his spiritual world, everything collapsed. Only a fist filled the heavens and the earth. It locked down the heavenly region's space-time and punched through his flesh shell. The terrifying scene of blood staining the province. The ancestor expert died. He let out a shrill cry. He was in agony because old man Tongtian had been punched through his flesh shell. Chapter 1655. An expert who was infinitely close to the level of Daozu was killed. This was a scene that could shatter heaven and earth. The entire heavenly sun continent trembled. At first, the dense blood light drowned the entire continent. Then, the blood light rushed into the sky and rushed towards the shattered sea of stars. Boom! The heavens even collapsed, turning into a great blood-colored abyss. Moreover, a miserable aura swept out, engulfing an even more distant world. There was no need to doubt old man Heavenspan's power. Now that his flesh had been shattered by a single punch, his bones shot out and pierced through the stars in the sky. Just a single bone was enough to crush space and time. One could only imagine how strong he was. Oh my God! At the end of the vast land, the experts of the various continents were scared out of their wits. Even the sect masters of the various immortal sects were having a headache watching the battle from their ancestral lands. The blood light drowned the entire continent and continued to surge towards the distant world. This was a shocking scene. What kind of existence was withering? What caused this scene? Was the death of a primogenitor? Was Daozu's existence withering? A powerhouse is dead. Blood is burning the continent. Someone shouted in shock. Even his soul was trembling. His limbs were cold and his hair stood on end. This is too cruel. The creatures of the universe were frightened. The death of a powerhouse who looked down on the world was quite shocking. In fact, this was not beyond their expectations. The change of the reincarnation medicine had caused the most terrifying storm in the undying heavenly domain. The powerhouses of various races were involved. It was within their expectations that they would die in battle. However, the real death still frightened them. One had to admit that a powerhouse of this realm was too strong. It was enough to shake the world. Su Yen and Baokai were stunned. Old man Tongtian was punched by the prehistoric Big Brother. His flesh shell was shattered and his blood splashed across the starry sky. They could not believe their eyes. The prehistoric Big Brother was too shocking. It was as if a prehistoric monster had revived. His ferocious might shook the past, present, and future. Moreover, his main body had not arrived yet. It was just a punch. It's old man Tongtian. He's dead, a storm rolled, sweeping across the entire world. Some experts saw the truth with their space-time secret treasures. They saw a huge fist punching through old man Tongtian's flesh shell. The whole world trembled. Isn't it too surreal for an invincible giant to die in battle? And he said he was invincible, but now he was blasted apart by a single punch. Who is the one who did this? Could it be one of the legendary celestial emperors, the Overlord Celestial Venerable? Someone lost control and screamed, feeling that this was too unreal. After all, old man Tongtian was too famous. He was the master of the heavenly bridge, an invincible existence in the present age. Not even the prosperous immortal sects dared to provoke him. No! A supreme being spoke up, warning sternly, "Your words are wrong, take them back. Once Daozu finds out about this, you won't even know how you died. This is a humiliation to them, and don't associate the unrivaled giant with the heaven-reaching elder. This is a great disrespect to them." Why? Isn't old man Tongtian a primal ancestor? Old man Tongtian can be called a primal ancestor, but he's not an invincible giant. A supreme explained, strictly speaking, old man Tongtian is just a quasi-Daozu. He's only half a step into the realm of Daozu. However, his situation is a little special. He's proficient in the space-time Grand Tao and wields the heavenly bridge. Therefore, his strength isn't much weaker than Daozu's. You can't associate an expert who relies on treasures with Daozu. Daozu. He could be called the ancestor of the great Tao, but why was he called Daozu? The main reason was that he had reached the pinnacle of the immortal Tao, standing as high as heaven and earth. He had the strongest battle prowess in the undying heavenly domain. In fact, in the undying heavenly domain, many immortal sects had primal ancestors. They could truly be called the ancestor of the great Tao. The ancestor of the great Tao was a Daluo Daozu, a creature that lived in legends. Almost all of these people were immortal and indestructible. They were immortal immortals who had reached the pinnacle of the immortal Tao. They were powerful and prosperous. Only such people had the qualifications to be mentioned in the same breath as the Xian people's ancestors. For the Xian people's ancestors, the Lord of the Underworld, the Heavenly Emperor, and other powerful creatures. They had walked too far in the Daluo Daozu realm. Was there a limit to the immortal Tao? It was hard to say. Daluo Daozu was already invincible. However, the Xian people's ancestors were still improving and growing stronger. It had to be said that they were very shocking. But no matter what, the prehistoric Big Brother who broke Old Man Tongtian's flesh shell with a punch was the true invincible giant. Yen Emperor was stunned. Tears welled up in his eyes. A tall man with disheveled hair swallowed the stars. His domineering posture, blazing eyes, and terrifying might had always been swallowing the universe and looking down on the world. He was so domineering that it was suffocating. As he stood between heaven and earth, all matter dimmed. The world seemed to be crawling under his feet as it wailed. Big Brother is here. Su Yen and the others were overwhelmed with emotions. Their backer had arrived. At this moment they felt that this world was no longer imposing, and this situation was no longer grand. This kind of influence was too shocking, and it possessed an unrivaled heavenly might that could swallow the long river of time. Guardian of the Celestial Court, a large group of primal ancestors rushed over to the Heavenly Sun province. However, the heroes did not dare to act rashly. They were all stunned. This was because some of the old antiques who had lived for a long time had clearly seen through the origins of the prehistoric Big Brother, especially the Lord of the Underworld. His expression was extremely gloomy. He recognized the prehistoric Big Brother. Why was he still alive? He should not be alive after being attacked by the three most powerful treasures back then. It's him. The Sword Sect primal ancestor's heart trembled. It was said that he had died in battle 1,000,000 years ago. He did not expect him to survive. This was ridiculous. Roar! Suddenly, Old Man Tongtian's broken body roared. He was not completely dead. His broken body was being reconstructed. This person's control of time and space had reached perfection. He was also deeply involved in the domain of time. Boom! Soon, his body was being reconstructed. He stood up again. However, Old Man Tongtian's heart was filled with despair. What kind of existence was this? He destroyed his source of life with a punch. No. He was roaring. This was the second time he felt despair. The first time was when he encountered the Audiobook instrument. He was beaten to the point where he could only hide in the heaven and earth stone embryo to avoid disaster. As for the second time, he was at the bottom of the abyss. Although he had reconstructed his body, his realm had fallen. He was directly destroyed by a punch from the Daozu. Looking back, the current Old Man Tongtian was only a grand heavenly realm cultivator who had declined to the extreme. Why? He roared as if he had gone mad. His eyes were bloodshot, and his blood-stained hair danced in the wind. This was truly more unbearable and painful than death. His realm had been shattered, and he had fallen from the lofty Quasi-Dao ancestor realm to a true immortal of the great all-embracing heaven. Old Man Tongtian, some of the primal ancestors were exuding cold air. This was because their situation was similar to Old Man Tongtian's. They turned around and left without looking back. Old Man Tongtian's realm had fallen from a single punch. It had to be said that this method was too domineering. Who could withstand it? The difference was too great. The fall was too vicious. You've gone too far, Old Man Tongtian roared. His heart was filled with despair. His eyes were mournful. It was too tragic. You still have the nerve to say that I've gone too far? You're really thick-skinned. You're shameless. Su Yan sneered. Back then, you were high and mighty and looked down on us. Didn't you say that you wanted to annihilate my entire family? Where's your arrogance from before? You're suppressing us with a higher realm. Isn't that going too far? Baokai was so angry that he laughed. Old Man Tongtian had really gone mad. I'll kill you all. I'll kill you all. Old Man Tongtian had lost all hope. He was truly in despair. He no longer had a chance. In the end, he fixed his gaze on Su Yan and charged at him. If you want to die with dignity, I'll fulfill your wish. Su Yan's figure soared through the sky. In an instant, he had traversed the heavens like a terrifying star in the universe rising from the ground. So what if you're a grand heavenly realm? I'll kill you. Su Yan let out a long roar. His combat strength went berserk. Although Old Man Tongtian was still a grand heavenly true immortal, his injuries were severe. His vitality was greatly reduced, and he was in a terrible state. But in the eyes of the nearby primal ancestors, a true immortal attacking a heavily injured grand heavenly realm? It didn't make sense. But Su Yan still made his move. For a brief moment, he unleashed his domain to the extreme. Calamity Dao's secret arts were unleashed, sword arts filled the sky, and primordial force covered the sky. Old Man Tongtian's hair flew wildly as he stared at Su Yan. He couldn't help but nod. How many years had it been? Su Yan's growth made Old Man Tongtian's expression change. His transformation was rapid and his growth was huge. Even the potential of his physique was being ignited. Boom. This scene was quite shocking. The scene was terrifying as it filled the sky. Dirt and rocks rolled in the sky, filling the air with smoke and dust. Dong. There was nothing to say. Su Yan punched out with a grand and shocking fist. He also used his strongest combat strength. He couldn't do it before, but things were different now. He was like a legendary golden immortal. His blood and chi flooded the starry sky. His fist destroyed the space-time energy. Old Man Tongtian's body trembled as a bloody hole appeared in his chest. Kill. Su Yan punched out a second time. His fist was grand and peerless. It was like a vast land pressing down. It directly enveloped Old Man Tongtian's blood-stained body, causing his body to crack again. He was covered in blood and was about to disintegrate. Old Man Tongtian cried out miserably as he vomited blood. He was in despair. He couldn't even kill a true immortal. He was being beaten up again. Endless humiliation shrouded his heart. Even if he were to die in battle, he shouldn't be so aggrieved, right? He was a primal ancestor, a high and mighty giant. But no matter how powerful and domineering the combat strength Old Man Tongtian activated, Su Yan was like an invincible god of war. He was like a legendary golden immortal. Not only was the blood and chi in his body vigorous, but it also contained the power of the 10,000 bodies of gods and devils. In the final attack, Su Yan's combat body burned brightly. His pores spewed out thousands of layers of divine light and evolved the power of the Kuan Pring. It was a legendary divine power. It was extremely mythical. Kill! Su Yan roared. His anger burned fiercely. It had already penetrated his body and gathered between heaven and earth, forming a raging god of war and a peerless Kuan Pring. Boom! The Kuan Pring spread its wings and swooped down along the space-time, destroying everything along the way. It directly crushed Old Man Tongtian's body until it exploded. Su Yen blew up Old Man Tongtian with 3 punches. The dignity of an expert surged. Although he was still young and had such a powerful background and structure, Su Yen had Su Yan's style and the belief that he was invincible in his generation. After doing all this, Su Yen retreated. He straightened his back and stood behind the big prehistoric brother's tall body. Chapter 1656. The prehistoric Big Brother had caused the Old Man Tongtian's realm to drop from a high and mighty primogenitor to an extremely weak grand heavenly immortal. But now, the young true immortal Devil King had struck and killed the Old Man Tongtian with 3 punches. From then on, the Old Man Tongtian's lineage would cease to exist. The entire world fell silent. Some of the primogenitor experts were shocked. A true immortal had killed a grand heavenly immortal. Although it was against a weak grand heavenly immortal, such combat strength was truly impressive. His future was limitless. If they had disciples with such potential, they would definitely nurture them with everything they had. It would not be difficult for them to become a grand heavenly immortal, and they would even have great hopes of becoming a supreme. A true immortal had killed a weak grand heavenly immortal. Such combat strength was truly frightening. The old monsters who had not appeared in the world for a long time were shocked. They did not expect the Kuan Pung to be the young Devil King of the Emperor Road. They could not help but feel that this young man was bold enough to participate in such a situation. Of course, in such a situation, Su Yen was still too weak. The primogenitors who occupied the skies were watching the prehistoric Big Brother covetously. They did not pay any attention to Su Yen. However, some of them left. The fall of the Old Man Tongtian was a huge wake-up call that shook their souls. The standard of such a battle had been raised to the most terrifying and cruel level. Even a powerhouse would be destroyed. He's devouring the essence of the rebirth medicine. At that moment, a rolling aura that blotted out the sun surged out. An old heavenly beast let out a low roar. Its body was huge, as tall as heaven and earth. Its eyes were brighter than the sun. This was an extremely powerful heavenly beast. Although this heavenly beast's aura was weak, it was still quite heaven-defying. The aura in its body churned, forming an unparalleled suppression that began to obstruct the prehistoric Big Brother. Everyone wanted the rebirth medicine. Before a victor was decided, the prehistoric Big Brother had already started to devour the rebirth medicine's power. This undoubtedly angered the old heavenly beast. The prehistoric Big Brother stood between heaven and earth. His black hair danced in the wind like an extremely powerful being. His mouth and nose shone. As he breathed, he forcibly stole the rebirth medicine's origin power and penetrated his flesh shell, nourishing his body. However, just as he did that, the heavenly beast locked onto him. At present, a large number of experts had yet to make a move. They had clearly seen the situation. The Lord of the Underworld had yet to speak and had remained silent all this time. It was obvious that this was a shocking character. Currently, most of them were still unclear about who the prehistoric Big Brother was. Roar! The heavenly beast's roar roared out, its chest full of chi and blood surging. It was extremely dense and terrifying, burning down a corner of the cosmos, suppressing this prehistoric Big Brother. The prehistoric Big Brother's messy hair draped over his shoulders. He was tall and majestic. He suddenly took a step forward. His bronze-colored body did not block the chi and blood light that came pressing down on him, allowing it to suppress him on his flesh shell. Boom! He was like a celestial king with boundless energy. No matter how strong the order and blood chi were, they couldn't harm him at all. What? The heavenly beast lost its composure. Was this the indestructible body of the 10,000 immortal? It was well aware of how powerful its own strength was. However, Big Brother Prehistoric had used his physical body to block it. Furthermore, his physical body had been destroyed by the power of the flesh shell. Just how strong was his physical body? Boom! In an instant, Big Brother Prehistoric took a step forward. He was like a celestial king who ruled over the heavens, who came down to the lower realm, filled with vast divine might. His fist rose up, surging with unparalleled strength, and blasted toward the huge heavenly beast. The beast was stunned. He attacked directly. Wasn't this a little too domineering and overbearing? The fist force that traversed the cycle of reincarnation shook out. It was as if 3,000 chaos gods and devils were attacking the cosmos. Wrapped in unparalleled divine might, the fist struck out just like that. It grew stronger, more terrifying, and more ferocious. Boom! The heavenly beast tried to dodge and resist, but it was useless. No matter how powerful the protective divine light and order it constructed were, Big Brother Prehistoric's fist struck out with disdain. It was invincible. Crack! The heavenly beast's huge arm exploded. It was as if an ancient mountain range had collapsed. Blood and bones splattered, dyeing half the sky red. This was an extremely shocking scene. Although it was not punched through like Old Man Tong Tian, the heavenly beast was heavily injured. Its arm was broken, and its blood dyed 3,000 miles. It was quite miserable. Hiss! Someone sucked in a breath of cold air. Could this be an invincible giant who had reached the pinnacle of the immortal path? An existence who stood at the top of the pyramid, someone who could defy the heavens and attack someone like Daozu. His strength was at an inconceivable level. Su Yen knew Big Brother Prehistoric very well. He was very decisive in his attack, and dealt a fatal blow right away. Back then, the 3 invincible giants of the Xian people had joined forces to besiege Big Brother Prehistoric. They had even used various treasures, but they still could not kill Big Brother Prehistoric. It was clear how shocking he was. Brother, help me. However, the outcome was shocking. The prehistoric Big Brother had shattered the heavenly beast's arm with a single punch. His power was still burning. With a rumble, it suddenly went berserk, forming an apocalyptic energy wave that bombarded the beast. Everyone was shocked. Could it be that he could kill Daozu with a punch? It was somewhat unreal. At the same time, the old bull of the Thousand Beasts sect and a group of demon experts charged over. They joined forces to resonate with their strength, forming a powerful energy field that blocked Big Brother Prehistoric's attack. However, the heavenly beast roared again, as if he had gone mad. It was visible to the naked eye that his huge flesh shell was drying up, and his life essence was greatly depleted. To this heavenly beast, whose blood and chi had dried up, this was equivalent to a fatal blow. It wanted to cut off his lifespan and send him to the land of death. The legendary stealing heaven technique, the heavenly beast began to panic. This was a powerful secret technique with a dreamlike quality. It could steal all the treasures in the world. Similarly, those who cultivated this secret technique to the extreme could steal the vigorous blood and chi from the body of a powerhouse. In an instant, his blood and chi declined to the extreme. His huge body trembled, and he was about to die. Roar! Big Brother Prehistoric looked up to the sky and roared. His messy hair danced in the wind, and his shocking aura rose from the ground. He was like the strongest guardian of the human race. He was becoming stronger. Nobody knew if it was because he had stolen the heavenly beast's life force, or because he had absorbed a portion of the rebirth elixir's essence. It was as if he had solved his own problems and was returning to his strongest state. In short, the stronger he was, the older he looked. In the end, the entire sky exploded, and a terrifying aura swept out. It was as if the sea of the 33 heavens had poured down, sweeping across the universe and shaking the 3,000 continents. How terrifying! Countless living beings trembled. Some of them had already started to worship the figure that rose from the ground of the heavenly sun region. It was too shocking and invincible. His divine aura was vast and mighty, shaking the 4 seas and oceans. Sweeping across the undying heavenly region. What kind of invincible and terrifying existence could give birth to such shocking energy? Big Brother Prehistoric's essence, chi, and spirit became more and more unparalleled. He was like a supreme demon god standing at the peak of the heavens. His eyes were like heavenly blades that could split the heaven and earth. How powerful, extremely powerful, a primogeniture expert commented. This person was very strange. His appearance was aging, but his aura was becoming more and more shocking. Su Yan's blood was boiling, and he wanted to roar. This was the invincible Big Brother, unparalleled in the world. Even in such a situation, he still bloomed with the belief of being invincible. He was like a supreme demon god that transcended the heavens and 10,000 worlds, looking down on everything and crushing everything. The atmosphere suddenly became extremely oppressive. Some of the supreme experts who gathered in the surroundings were terrified. They felt that this place was too dangerous. They could die in an instant, and they might not even know how they withered. Kiki, suddenly, a sinister smile appeared on his face. The Lord of Hell finally walked out. His body was huge, and black fog billowed. Behind him, the Azura Purgatory appeared. It was as if the true picture of hell, the ultimate hell of reincarnation, was presented, and the Lord of Hell was equally peerless and invincible. What a great harvest! His gaze landed on Su Yan, and he seemed to have noticed something. Su Yan's state was unstable, and the seed devil of hell was almost released. However, he was no longer the Su Yan of yesterday. He forcibly suppressed the influence of the seed devil of hell. This little bug, hee. The Lord of Hell smiled, but his smile was so sinister and cold. 1,000,000 years ago, he personally set up the seed devil of hell, which caused a child with extraordinary potential to shed his talent. However, now a living example was placed before him, proving his mistake. He should have killed him directly. Otherwise, there would not be the young devil king of the Emperor Road today. However, at the same time, the murderous intent in his heart grew stronger. A person with a shed talent could reach this step and dominate the Emperor Road. One could imagine what kind of monster would be born once his talent returned. He might even have the chance to rush into Daozu's realm in the future. Old thing, you treat me like an ant. When I return to the Emperor Road, I'll be the first to destroy the reincarnation body. Su Yan clenched his fists, but the difference in strength was too great. His chest rose and fell violently, and he could only remain silent. The Lord of Hell felt that this day was too important. Was this the great showdown? Boom! At the same time, the vast land of the immortal continent rose and fell violently. In the ancestral court, a supreme figure appeared. His might shook the long river of time, and an immense divine aura was released with far-reaching effects. His aura was released slightly, and a huge crack appeared in the space-time, extending towards the heavenly sun continent. Interesting, he's still alive. The land of the immortal continent trembled violently. It could be said that the existence of legends had been revived, just like the immortal Daozu, who carried the immortal slaying sword embryo that could slay all immortal Dao in the world. He came out of seclusion and rushed towards the heavenly sun continent. His figure rumbled as he crossed one continent after another, rushing towards his destination with extreme speed. Wherever he passed, the heavens and earth trembled. Along the way, one continent after another fell into eternal silence. Some of the progenitors exclaimed. The progenitor of the Xian people was even more terrifying now. In 1,000,000 years of seclusion, he had killed many enemies and destroyed some orthodoxies. He had gained a lot. Now that he had come out of seclusion, this was also the first time the Xian people's progenitor revealed his true form in the undying heavenly domain after 1,000,000 years. Chapter 1657. The progenitor of the Xian people had come out of seclusion, and his might had shaken the 3,000 continents of the undying heavenly domain. Our progenitor, the Xian people, were in an uproar. It could be said that the whole world was celebrating. Auspicious lights shone in the ancestral grounds. The old antiques who had been in seclusion for a long time all stood up and roared into the sky. Did the Cien people only have one progenitor expert? Of course not. The Cien people's progenitor had 10 great disciples. Over the long years, there had naturally been existences at the level of Daozu. However, the progenitor of the Cien people was known as the most invincible giant in the world. He had been strong since ancient times. After 1,000,000 years of slumber, he had become even more terrifying and domineering. Although the light of qi and blood that surged out of his flesh shell didn't seem dense, it had already suppressed one continent after another and swept across the heavens. How terrifying endless divine might bloomed! It was as if the entire heavens were pressing down. The divine might was vast. The heroes were terrified. Some of the old antiques who had been in seclusion were also shocked. This was the strongest divine might. It was vast and mighty, and it covered the vast space-time. It formed an earth-shattering scene that suppressed all living beings in the universe. Some experts couldn't take it anymore. They knelt down in worship as if they were worshipping the strongest god in their hearts. Fortunately, the Emperor Road has opened, and the younger generation has all entered it. Otherwise, these young people would have despaired when they saw the progenitor of the Cien people. Even the strongest young Devil King was no exception. Yeah, the influence is too great. This is the influence of Tao and Tao. It has affected the space-time of the heavenly domain, not to mention the influence on the younger generation. Many old monsters exclaimed. This was an invincible existence in myths and legends. It was so powerful that it could shake the world and affect the Tao heart of the people. The progenitor of the Cien people had crossed continents to come here. A great Tao of the immortal firmament had already formed beneath his feet. It was as if he had reached the pinnacle of Tao. Vaguely, an unparalleled ancestral substance was manifesting, causing the space-time to collapse. The progenitor of the Cien people, Su Yen, who was far away in the Heavenly Sun province, had yet to see who it was, but he had already caught a vast life force sweeping towards him. It was as if the golden age of the universe had collapsed. It was powerful, flourishing, and incomparable. Baokai almost couldn't breathe. It felt as if its soul was being judged. It let out a low roar. This old monster is too scary. Is it the most powerful creature in the world? They're too far away from us. Su Yen concealed his spirit and qi to ensure that he would not be affected. The situation was getting more and more shocking. Su Yen was worried that there would be too many variables. Once the prehistoric Big Brother stood out, it might cause a huge uproar in the undying heaven domain. Boom! An enormous sound exploded, shaking the heavens. A large hand crushed over, majestic and boundless. Oh my God! An uproar broke out. Too many living beings couldn't help but exclaim in shock. They saw a world-destroying hand covering the continent. It was like the hand of an invincible giant, tearing apart the space-time of the undying heaven domain. It could cover any destination it wanted. Su Yen and Baokai were shocked. They looked up at the world in the distance and the huge hand. It was too big. It was boundless. A single hand was enough to cover the entire universe. It was a source of endless terror. It crossed the vast space-time and started to cover the Heavenly Sun province. Let's go. In an instant, another group of experts retreated. They didn't want to participate in this anymore. This was a great purge between the Celestial Court and the Cien people. If they were to participate in this situation, they might be implicated in the karma. The progenitor of the Cien people was unparalleled. He could cover the sky with a single hand. Even though he was far away, this huge hand was already pressing down on the Heavenly Sun province, covering the entire sky. Endless laws and order appeared, creating the golden age of the celestial firmament. A single hand pressing down. It was enough to reveal, the progenitor of the Cien people was terrifying and invincible. He shrouded everything and evolved the most invincible killing power. He attacked the prehistoric Big Brother. At this moment, the prehistoric Big Brother seemed insignificant. Under the huge hand he was like a speck of dust. Suppress. The progenitor of the Sien people had boundless magic power. He was also extremely cruel. His faith was invincible. He wanted to kill the prehistoric Big Brother with a single hand. He didn't believe that the prehistoric Big Brother still had the combat power he had in the past. A weak prehistoric Big Brother couldn't be too powerful. As long as they killed him, they could get everything they wanted 1,000,000 years ago. Boom! The Big Brother's body suddenly moved. In an instant, he changed. He became 1,000,000,000 times more majestic. His grayish-white hair danced in the wind. His tall, bronze-colored body suddenly surged with an extremely powerful vitality. It was accompanied by a terrifying primordial aura. It was accompanied by billions of laws descending like a sea. At this moment, he was like the creator of the primordial great Tao. He was a supreme existence more powerful than Daozu. His roar shook the entire space-time. A group of experts trembled. They couldn't withstand it and were sent flying. These were supreme overlords, but they couldn't withstand the unparalleled aura of the prehistoric Big Brother. They could vaguely see that the prehistoric Big Brother was creating a great Tao and a cultivation system. This was a mighty giant. His roar seemed to be announcing his return. Primordial sacred power surged. He waved his fist and sent the boundless huge hand crashing down on him flying. For a moment, everyone was shocked. The prehistoric Big Brother's fist was unparalleled. It was as if he was bombarding the heavens of the universe. The terrifying fist instantly traversed the vast territory. Countless living beings trembled. The huge fist passed through one continent after another. Finally, a terrifying space-time crack appeared. It charged toward the progenitor of the Sien people. The whole world was shocked. This was the most powerful battle that was destined to shake the universe. The prehistoric Big Brother's strength had refreshed their understanding. He was definitely the most invincible existence. He stood at the top of the pyramid and could look down on everything. But from how they ignored the territory and distance and attacked their opponents freely, one could see how invincible they were. The fist passed through the vast territory. The source of the fist had already caused the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. There were fragments of great Tao dancing in the sky. What kind of terrifying power was this? It broke through the great Tao and destroyed a corner of the heaven domain's spacetime. Boom! An earth-shattering collision occurred. The progenitor of the Sien people waved his fist and punched directly. A destructive storm was created. Between the heaven and earth, there were terrifying lights that rushed to the outer space and destroyed a large part of the void. Everyone in the universe was scared. This was a true invincible existence. Even the void couldn't withstand it and countless cracks appeared. This is the battle of the end of the world. Countless people were terrified. Since the fall of the celestial court 1,000,000 years ago, the immortal heaven domain had been peaceful for 1,000,000 years. However, no one had expected that the most terrifying battle of all would be the immeasurable killing tribulation triggered by the heavenly court. Su Yan's face turned ugly. No matter how strong the prehistoric Big Brother was, he couldn't fight against so many people with two fists. But the situation wasn't what they had imagined. Because the following changes were more and more ferocious, the entire immortal heaven domain fell into panic. The celestial court has been destroyed. A new era is coming. This is fate. Those who go against it will die. The progenitor of the Sien people shouted coldly. His hair fluttered in the wind. His blood essence became more and more boundless. In the end, it exploded and covered more than a dozen continents. After 1,000,000 years of hibernation, his battle blood was ignited again. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He wanted to slaughter this giant. Our progenitor is invincible in the world. Who can compete with him? The Sien people were boiling with anger. Anger would cause a sea of blood to flow and affect a great era. Perhaps it would change the history of the immortal heaven domain. After 1,000,000 years of hibernation, they looked forward to the progenitor of the Sien people's progenitor's strength. They looked forward to him shocking the world and becoming the most invincible giant that could suppress everything. The eyes of the Sien people's progenitor were blazing. Millions of killing intent flowed out as he stared at the prehistoric Big Brother standing above the heavenly sun continent. He was laughing coldly. What did the celestial court take away from the Emperor Road's end? This was a mystery that had troubled him until now. This was also related to the world-shaking situation of the Great Apocalypse. As long as he could suppress the prehistoric Big Brother, everything would be clear. He might even be able to obtain that mysterious heavenly coffin. The trend of the universe cannot be disobeyed. The Xianwang heavenly domain has been destroyed. This is the immortal heaven domain. We are the masters here. In a faraway place, an ancient figure suddenly rose from the ground. He was looking down at the heavenly sun continent. This was an extremely terrifying life form. It was as if Daozu, the master of chaos, was reborn. The vast immortal heaven domain trembled violently. The figure of the master of the chaos paradise could be seen in the faraway world. It was too magnificent and dazzling. This was the progenitor of the chaos paradise. He was also one of the initiators of the attack on the Xianwang heavenly domain. A cold, murderous voice reverberated between heaven and earth. It was as if endless lightning had pierced through the earth and swept across the world, shocking countless races. A new era, a new era. The dead should return to the dust. The celestial court's glorious era has been long enough. Give the people of the world a chance. Another terrifying wave of energy erupted, shaking the entire undying land. An ancient aura surged out from the ancient heaven-sealing continent. A skinny old man climbed out from a famed mountain. He held the heaven-sealing immeasurable scroll and walked towards the heavenly sun continent. His ancient eyes were also emitting shocking murderous intent. The progenitor of the heaven-sealing sect stood out. He had lived for an extremely long time. The heaven-sealing great Tao formed under his feet as he rushed towards the heavenly sun continent. Boom! In this short period of time, the 3,000 continents of the immortal heaven domain rumbled violently. One after another, the progenitors who once ruled the world came out of seclusion. Terrifying energy waves swept across the land like the 9 heavens, sprinkling down supreme order and law. Each of them was like the master of the immortal Tao. It was originally a competition for the reincarnation herb, but the situation changed completely. The prehistoric Big Brother came out and caused the entire world to go crazy. In the past, the progenitor of the Sien people, the Lord of Hell, and the progenitor of the wondrous heaven sect worked together to tear apart the celestial court of the 9 cauldron continents. After that, the Xianwang heavenly domain was invaded by a dark calamity. The heavenly domain's spacetime was severely damaged, and countless experts of the celestial court died in battle. This attracted a large number of experts from the immortal heaven domain. There were at least a dozen immortal sects that participated in the invasion. Now, these orthodoxies came out one after another. They were worried that the celestial court would take revenge on them in the future. At the same time, killing the prehistoric Big Brother was also their goal. An incomparably oppressive aura swept across the land. All living beings in the universe trembled in fear. It was as if a taboo living in legends had come out of seclusion. The prehistoric Big Brother stood between heaven and earth. His mouth and nose glowed continuously as he stole the power of the reincarnation herb. Su Yen stood behind him. He could clearly see that the Big Brother's aura was getting more and more ancient and vast. It was as if there were billions of treasures hidden in the Big Brother's body. Under the stimulation of the reincarnation herb, they bloomed one after another, forming a grand primordial gate. "Come at me, I'll kill all of you to prove my Tao." The prehistoric Big Brother's aura was incomparably wild and crazy. He had encountered more dangerous situations than this before, but he still managed to kill his way out again and again. His aura was too shocking. The primordial gate that appeared was filled with terrifying ancestral matter that shook the 3,000 continents. Chapter 1658. The changes in the immortal celestial domain shook the entire world. The aura of calamity spread out endlessly, engulfing the entire cultivation world. Tens of thousands of sects were in an uproar, shaking the entire world. Majestic figures stood up one after another, filling up the starry skies. Unparalleled laws swirled around them. Their majesty was too shocking, causing the entire immortal celestial domain to rumble. What terrifying creatures! Countless people were trembling. Wasn't this too crazy? The immortal celestial domain was vast and majestic, but the primogenitors came out of seclusion one after another, looking down on the world. They were all existences that lived in legends. Was this the start of the ultimate battle? If they really started fighting, would the large prefectures near the Heavenly Sun Prefecture still exist? In any case, the group of old monsters went crazy. There were more than 10 of them, their mouths and noses spewing out starlight, causing the world to tremble violently. Actually, they were already trying their best to control themselves, otherwise it would cause the world to collapse. They were all powerful and ridiculous enough, surging with world-shaking might, exuding the determination to crush the heavenly court. The atmosphere in the Heavenly Sun region was incomparably stifling. Some of the supreme experts felt their hair stand on end and wanted to retreat immediately. But it was too late now. The heaven and earth had been sealed. The supreme heavenly might released by the primogenitors resonated and surged towards the Heavenly Sun region, turning it into a forbidden land for life. This was the scene before the primogenitors charged towards the Heavenly Sun region. Once they did, the consequences would be unimaginable. This battle had completely escalated to the highest level. At this time, the dormant Heavenly Emperor woke up. He was the world's most ancient tycoon, Daozu, the one who created the glory of the royal family. In an instant, he made his move, rushing towards the reincarnation medicine. A stalk of medicine was planted in the black soil, releasing millions of reincarnation light. It was filled with dreamy and mythical colors. None of the primogenitors present was not jealous. Nobody expected the Heavenly Emperor to make his move directly, wanting to snatch the reincarnation medicine. Because if they did not make their move now, it would be too late. Once the boundless calamity against the celestial court started, they would lose the right to compete for the medicine. The moment the Heavenly Emperor woke up, some of the primogenitors became restless. This group of existences had their blood essence dried up, and they desired the reincarnation medicine to prolong their lives. But what was strange was that the prehistoric Big Brother and the Lord of Hell did not make their move. What was going on? After all, the prehistoric Heavenly Emperor was an invincible existence. Once he made his move, he might be able to snatch the reincarnation medicine away. Boom! The Heavenly Emperor's hand had already reached out with a mighty heavenly might. However, the moment his hand was about to land on the reincarnation herb, the Tao of reincarnation released by the herb merged into one and evolved into the terrifying 6 paths of reincarnation. What was this? The Heavenly Emperors. And reincarnation of hell. And of it. If that was the case, the prehistoric Big Brother would have swallowed it a long time ago. He was using the heaven-stealing art to steal the power of the reincarnation medicine. But the speed was not fast. Otherwise, the reincarnation medicine would have dried up long ago. The Heavenly Emperor's face darkened. He sighed and left. Even though he was confident in taking the rebirth elixir with all his might, the fact that the Lord of the Underworld didn't stop him the first time was already giving him enough face. If he were to make a move a second time, then he would really have to fight a bloody battle with the Lord of the Underworld. The Heavenly Emperor was old. He knew that the reincarnation medicine could not be taken away. The one he was afraid of was the prehistoric Big Brother. The prehistoric Big Brother was an invincible existence in the immortal heavenly domain. Once he woke up, he would shock the world. Fellow Taoists, what are you waiting for? Do you still want us to send you on your way? The Lord of Hell looked at the other primogenitors. Currently, the auras of the world's giants were rushing towards the heavenly sun region. Under such circumstances, the experts who coveted the reincarnation medicine could only sigh. No one had expected things to turn out this way. In short, the situation had changed. The prehistoric Big Brother's appearance had finally led to a murderous situation. The ancient orthodoxies that joined forces to attack the Xian Huang universe had all sent out old monsters to kill the invincible giants. This place had become a land of death. The heavenly aura that was emitted could suppress the universe. It was as if the entire world was under control. The celestial court shall be destroyed. This is an unstoppable torrent of history. The wondrous heaven sex primogenitor arrived. He was thin and small, his hair snow-white. It was hard to tell how strong he was. However, wherever he went, the stars would vanish, the sun and the moon would fall. A great power was unleashed. It was terrifying. He said coldly, "Why are you standing out alone? Why don't you find a graveyard and bury yourself so that you won't die a horrible death in the end?" The prehistoric Big Brother's expression was cold. Even in such a situation, he was still calm. Primitive saint force spread out from his body, making him look especially majestic in the midst of this murderous situation. Su Yen looked anxious. The situation was too dangerous. It was even more dangerous and cruel than what he had encountered in the past. He transmitted his voice to inform the Big Brother that he had the 9 heavenly cauldrons and the heaven-opening writing brush. However, the prehistoric Big Brother did not respond. It was obvious that he did not need these treasures. Su Yen even discovered that the prehistoric Big Brother was constantly using the stealing heaven technique to steal the power of the reincarnation medicine. This calmed Su Yan's mind. There was no doubt that the Lord of Hell alone would not dare to attack the prehistoric Big Brother. Similarly, the prehistoric Big Brother needed some time to steal more power of the reincarnation medicine. However, Su Yen was also amazed by the terrifying power of this medicine. Even with the prehistoric Big Brother's level of stealing, the reincarnation medicine did not seem to have declined much. It was clear how vast the divine power of this medicine was. It could be said that it was endless. "The celestial court has been destroyed," another cold voice exploded. However, it attracted roars after roars that shook the universe's starry skies. Even the supreme land of slaughter was violently shaken by the roars, and the momentum shook the heavens. "Who said that the celestial court has been destroyed?" A giant beast crashed into the long river of time and space. Vast dragon might filled the battlefield and surged towards the Tianyang province. Boom! Its body was so large that it could blot out the sun. Its body was blazing, and it was covered in azure scales. Every single one of them was like an ancient mountain, and they were filled with billions of law patterns. Instead, the scales on its body were endless. Dragon! Baotsai's eyes widened. A living true dragon rushed into the battlefield. It was obvious that it belonged to the celestial court. A dragon crossed the sky, crossing hundreds of millions of miles. Its dragon horn crashed into the long river of time and space as it charged towards the Tianyang province. Moreover, its huge eyes stared at the prehistoric Big Brother. It almost shed tears and let out a low roar. "Patriarch, roar!" The green dragon roared in excitement. This caused its dragon power to become even more spectacular. It was filled with the strength of the extreme realm. It tore apart a corner of the murderous situation and charged in. "Patriarch!" The green dragon was so emotional that it shed tears. It still remembered its father, who was a junior valued by the prehistoric Big Brother. Its father was an expert from an extremely ancient era. He was one of the 4 guardian beasts of the celestial court. All of them were ancestor-level experts. However, the Xianhuang universe was invaded by a dark calamity. In the end, most of the strongest combat power was lost. That was why the Xian people succeeded. Otherwise, even if the celestial court branch collapsed, the Xianhuang universe's foundation would be enough to shock the world. A dragon, too many creatures were trembling. Finally, someone whispered, "It's the green dragon, one of the 10 most wanted criminals in the undying heavenly domain. Didn't he die in battle? Why is he still alive? He even has the combat power of an ancestor." This was an invincible creature. Its strength was unparalleled, and its dragon might was overwhelming. This was related to a secret. It was said that when the green dragon was trying to break through, he was surrounded by the Xian people. His blood dyed the sea of stars red, and he died in battle. However, the Flame Emperor knew that the green dragon had survived. He had also succeeded in breaking through. However, this matter had never been leaked. It had always been kept a secret, because if this matter was leaked, the prehistoric Big Brother would fall directly on the green dragon. How could it withstand that? The reason why the celestial court could survive until now in the undying heavenly domain was that they did not have any ancestor experts. Once they had such strength, the Xian people's ancestors would definitely kill them. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, this matter must not be leaked. Now that the prehistoric Big Brother had returned, the green dragon finally came out of the mountains. His dragon body was blazing as he swept across the universe and charged towards the battlefield. A remnant dragon that once pretended to be dead. Just destroy it. The experts from the heaven-sealing cult didn't care at all. Zhu Tian said coldly, "The glory of the past is gone. Your clan can never return." The prehistoric Big Brother frowned slightly as he stared at Zhu Tian with eyes as sharp as knives. He could see through Zhu Tian's origin. The chaos bamboo behind him was faintly discernible. His brows were deeply furrowed. "Ha ha!" The Lord of Hell laughed. "What a joke!" It was said that the ancestor of the celestial bamboo used to follow the celestial emperor of the ancient celestial court. Unfortunately, he had fallen. Now, the disciple of the ancestor, the master of the celestial bamboo bloodline, is standing in the celestial court. This is history and it cannot be changed. Your race should not exist anymore. Su Yan's face turned ugly. It was Zhu Tian of the celestial bamboo bloodline. Seniors, although I was lucky to have comprehended the immortal Tao ultimate profound and turned into Daozu, I am still a junior in front of you all. Zhu Tian was very courteous. He bowed to them and said, "Once the celestial court is destroyed, the celestial bamboo bloodline will hold a grand event to change the name of our race. Our race will establish a new sect." With that last sentence, Zhu Tian's aura surged endlessly. It was as if he had turned into a supreme heavenly venerate Tao ancestor, his aura swallowing the universe. Behind him, there seemed to be the image of billions of living beings prostrating themselves before him. Some of the Supremes were shocked. Zhu Tian was so bold to change the name of his race. This was a huge event that would shake the universe. A new era. The Zhu Tian of that day would definitely be a giant that would shake the entire immortal celestial realm. Ha ha, such a grand event, we will definitely attend it personally. One after another, the ancestors laughed. Some were mocking, some were smiling. It was hard to tell if they were sincere or not. In short, the celestial bamboo bloodline had chosen to stand on their side and reluctantly treated them as one of their own. Su Yan was boiling with anger. Zhu Tian wanted to step on the might of the celestial court and achieve his dream. Changing the name of our race? Are you really qualified? I don't think so. All of a sudden, Su Yan's soul tightened. He only felt a prehistoric pressure coming along the river of time rumbling over, shaking him to the point that he felt dizzy and his vision blurred. He was shaken. Who had appeared? Was he going to stand against Zhu Tian? Who goes there? Zhu Tian was furious. He was now a primogenitor and would soon become a giant that controlled an immortal orthodoxy. Who dared to be so rude to him? Boom! All of a sudden, the end of the world collapsed. Large cracks appeared one after another as if they had run all the way to the end of the river of time. Within them, a blurry lady in green appeared, accompanied by a vast rain of light. She had arrived at an incredible speed. She came from afar with a terrifying aura that soared to the sky. You dare to climb to the position of primogenitor of an immortal orthodoxy. You are quite bold. The lady in green said coldly. She walked forward and slapped Zhu Tian's face until it cracked. More. Chapter 1659. Destructive aura rippled across the land of the Tianyang region. Progenitor experts stepped onto the battlefield one after another. The pinnacle battle was about to break out. The Lord of Hell and the others were waiting for the other orthodoxies experts to step forward. This was not just about targeting the celestial court but also their attitude. If they could really join forces to destroy the celestial court, they would have many opportunities to work together in the future. A new era was coming. The progenitor experts would also choose to join forces. However, another shocking change occurred. Currently, the Celestial Court only had two Daozu experts, the prehistoric Big Brother and the Azure Dragon. Now, another one had appeared. Boom! It was an extremely mysterious woman. The sky was filled with space-time light rain. There was also the flow of the river of time that transcended time. It shook the heavens and the earth, and her divine might was indescribable. Her appearance couldn't be seen clearly, but anyone could clearly see how powerful she was. Her fluttering green clothes were woven from supreme laws and order, and they were similarly filled with mysterious colors. With a light shake of her jade-like palm, the long river of time and space collapsed, and her aura was boundlessly terrifying. Heaven's bout-sized body shook. It could not believe its eyes. That was because it had thought that Dao Shi was here. The two women's auras were extremely similar. However, it did not seem to be the case now. She was also as powerful as Dao Shi. One should know that Zhu Tian currently had the combat strength of a progenitor expert. However, this green-clothed woman suppressed the world and slapped him squarely in the face. Being slapped in the face in public was a great humiliation for a progenitor expert. Who could bear such humiliation? Roar! Zhu Tian roared. Half of his face was mangled. He was not in pain, but the trampling of his dignity drove him crazy. His entire body was filled with chaos. A giant bamboo vaguely appeared in the sky. It was as if it was planted in the universe. It was terrifying beyond compare. Boom! The giant bamboo struck horizontally with boundless great Tao power. There was a faint trace of source qi. It shattered the heavens and exploded the universe into a huge black hole. The stars in the heavens trembled. It was a blow that could destroy the world. Source qi. This was definitely Mother Qi. His natal giant bamboo had fused with the essence of Mother Qi, and it could be said to be a great killing weapon of heaven and earth. However, no matter how terrifying the primal chaos bamboo was, the moment it approached the green-clothed woman, the primal chaos bamboo gently swayed and released tens of thousands of strands of auspicious light. The murderous aura was completely dispersed, and it became calm and peaceful. It's you. Zhu Tian was in despair as he recognized who the newcomer was. Su Yan was even more ecstatic. She was definitely a primogenitor expert of the sky bamboo lineage. The green light that left with bamboo moon back then must have been transformed from a sky bamboo primogenitor. Perhaps the sky bamboo progenitor had regained control of the sky bamboo progenitor. Now, she had come here directly to face Zhu Tian. Kneel down and speak. The green-clothed woman appeared to be very domineering. Her vaguely visible face was stunningly beautiful and charming. She looked like a lady from a wealthy family. Was this sky bamboo's ancestor? It really lacked a lot of domineering aura compared to the legend. However, facing the disciple who betrayed her, the sky bamboo primogenitor still displayed a terrifying domineering aura. Zhu Tian's soul trembled and almost fell. She was like the master of all living beings, and Zhu Tian was about to submit to her. No! At the critical moment, Zhu Tian's face turned ferocious as he let out a furious roar. You're already dead. There's no way you're still alive. I'm the true ancestor of the Celestials. I'm the true master of the immortal sex orthodoxy. I'm the true master of this clan. His blood was boiling, and his aura was surging endlessly. He was truly like a primogenitor who dominated the world. He had mastered the ultimate combat strength of the immortal path, and millions of supreme laws and orders descended upon him. The green-clothed woman's expression was cold as ice. A jade-like hand reached out from her sleeve and pressed down on Zhu Tian. Su Yan was shocked by the familiar scene. The mysterious expert who suppressed Yu Yi in the Golden Oceanic region was none other than the Sky Bamboo primogenitor. She was able to reverse the Emperor Road's rules and orders. It was enough to prove that she was following the ancient celestial emperors. Boom! Her jade-like hand gently struck out. It was not obvious how powerful it was, but it was filled with a terrifying aura of the great path that pressed down on the Sky Bamboo primogenitor. To outsiders, Zhu Tian was truly powerful. This attack could not suppress Zhu Tian. Something shocking happened. Zhu Tian's aura trembled uncontrollably. In the end, blood gushed out of his pores, and chaotic bamboo leaves flew out from his flesh shell one after another. With each bamboo leaf that flew out, Zhu Tian's aura weakened a little. After 36 bamboo leaves flew out in succession, Zhu Tian's aura suddenly fell to the quasi-Daozu realm. I see. Some people's expressions turned ugly. Zhu Tian was not in the Daozu realm at all. He only possessed the combat strength of the Daozu realm with the help of this set of special secret treasures. A quasi-Daozu realm cultivator dared to change the name of an immortal sect. One had to admit that Zhu Tian was crazy. Did he really think that the Daozu realm cultivators were like cabbages? As for the 36 bamboo leaves, they looked like a set of weapons that contained the terrifying Daozu realm aura. This type of weapon was known as the most powerful treasure in the world. It was also known as the Daozu weapon. The 36 bamboo leaves circled around the Sky Bamboo primogenitor, making her aura even more terrifying. Zhu Tian was in despair. This set of treasures was the Sky Bamboo lineage's greatest treasure. He had held onto it for 1,000,000 years and had long erased the mark left behind by the Sky Bamboo primogenitor. Why was it still taken away? Boom! The Sky Bamboo primogenitor's jade-like hand pressed down. Zhu Tian was terrified. In the end, he knelt down and begged for mercy. Master, please spare me. I was wrong. I went astray to protect my clan. Back then, when the Celestial Court collapsed, my clan would be implicated at any time. Primogenitor, please have mercy. Crack! Zhu Tian's body collapsed. The Chaos Bamboo was severed. Zhu Tian's aura was greatly damaged once again. His realm fell sharply. After all, she was the one who created the Sky Bamboo lineage. The Chaos Bamboo was reconstructed before her eyes. In the end, it turned into a Chaos Bamboo that was surrounded by Source Chi. It flew out of the battlefield and landed in a distant world in front of a woman who was as bright as the moon. Bamboo Moon. Su Yan was surprised and delighted. What happened? In the distant world, everyone was terrified. Outside the supreme killing formation, a terrifying existence had been killed. It had happened too quickly. Zhu Tian was already a quasi-Daozu realm cultivator, but he still couldn't escape misfortune. He was killed immediately. From the beginning to the end, everything happened in the blink of an eye. It was too fast. Before he could release his boundless resentment and anger, the light of his soul had already been extinguished. It was too decisive and crazy. It was simply unbelievable. Even the supreme beings were trembling. A Quasi-Daozu realm cultivator was killed just like that. This was already the second Quasi-Daozu realm cultivator. In that case, there might be more Quasi-Daozu realm cultivators who would be killed next. Moreover, Zhu Tian's death would bring great changes to the Sky Bamboo lineage. They would definitely choose to stand on the same side as the Celestial Court. The peerlessly beautiful woman walked over step by step. She was truly looking down on the sea of stars. She was like an ancient giant awakening from a deep slumber. She died before. It doesn't seem like her true body. Now that she's come out, she's just throwing her life away. It's meaningless. Someone said coldly. The situation had changed again, but neither the Azure Dragon nor the Sky Bamboo progenitor had the qualifications to stand at the top of the pyramid. The Celestial Court's glory has already come to an end. What's the point of a few dead people coming out? Someone else was very direct. At present, one progenitor expert after another crossed the rivers and mountains to arrive at the Heavenly Sun Prefecture. The situation here was so oppressive that it made people feel suffocated and tremble. A great battle that shook the entire undying heavenly domain was about to happen. Glory is to be written. The people of the world shall bear witness to our race. Suddenly, an immortal blade slashed a corner of the sky. The aura of a great overarching golden immortal surged and gathered into an immortal slaying guillotine that could annihilate all life. It slashed towards the supreme killing force. Old Village Head. Su Yen was extremely excited. He shouted with tears in his eyes. He had survived and stepped into the great overarching golden immortal realm. A mere great overarching golden immortal dares to act rashly. A progenitor expert was enraged. He raised his hand and wanted to destroy the old village head who was charging over from the sky. However, the old village head's aura was extremely powerful. In the end, his corporeal body was like a great emperor awakening from a deep slumber. His aura was extremely terrifying because the imprint of the ancient celestial emperors appeared behind his back. It flowed with a supreme emperor's aura that swept across the 3,000 prefectures. The progenitor expert's soul trembled. He was shocked. However, he realized that the imprint of the celestial emperor was rather blurry and its power was limited. He heaved a sigh of relief. If it was the complete imprint of the celestial emperor, it would be a terrifying variable. You want to turn the tables with just the few of you? You're just dreaming. The primal Chaos Grotto Heaven's progenitor said coldly, Celestial Court lineage, open your eyes and take a look. This is no longer your era. Boom! Before he could finish his words, a loud sound rang out in this world. The progenitors of the wondrous sky sex progenitors' faces turned ugly. How could they not finish their words? Boom! Suddenly, the entire heavenly sun sect exploded. A figure soared into the sky, surging with a vast soul aura. It was as if the Sun Saint Emperor had awakened from a deep slumber. In an instant, it surged to the extreme, causing many progenitors' expressions to change. What a terrifying soul energy! The moment the Heavenly Sun Elder charged out, the two supreme experts of the underworld trembled. Ah no! They roared in despair, trying to struggle and resist. However, they were attacked by their souls. Their supreme primordial spirits were being melted, as if they were being burned in hell. They couldn't withstand the suppression of the Mother Sutra of heaven and earth. Without a doubt, Su Yen had given him a complete portion of the Mother Sutra of Sun, allowing the Heavenly Sun Elder's primordial spirit to transform in a short time. It was even more terrifying and shocking. Roar! The Heavenly Sun Elder roared. He was too ferocious. His cracked body blazed as he opened his mouth and swallowed the two supreme experts of the underworld, using them as sacrifices to recover his decline. Bastard! The Lord of the Underworld was furious, but it was too late to stop him. Moreover, he was shocked that the Heavenly Sun progenitor had escaped. It seemed that his primordial spirit was also much stronger, and his soul energy was terrifying. As for the primal Chaos Grotto Heaven's progenitor and his group, their old faces were truly ferocious. "Can't you let us finish?" This was too much of a slap in the face. One after another, they stood out to slap their faces. "I'm still alive. Underworld, wondrous sky sect, you've worked together to exterminate my race. You've killed my disciples and killed my relative. I'll slaughter your race until you're extinct." The Heavenly Sun Elder had really gone mad. His roar shook the starry sky, and his blood-stained hair danced in the wind. He had a blood feud on his back. Otherwise, he wouldn't have eaten the supreme experts of the underworld alive. His broken body glowed, and the light of his soul shocked the world. He broke free, and when he saw a tall man with messy hair, he immediately roared, "The old senior is still alive. Why aren't you attacking? Let him know who's the real big brother of this world." As soon as the Heavenly Sun Elder's words fell, the entire world trembled. The universe exploded, and the stars in the sky withered silently. In an instant, the prehistoric Big Brother vaguely transformed into 6 invincible bodies. He looked down on the river of time and opened the 6 paths of reincarnation. Roar! His aura was incomparably terrifying, shaking the entire great earth. There were also terrifying fluctuations that surged furiously into the outer space, outlining 6 terrifying figures. They were surrounded by ancestral matter, and they were similarly accompanied by an aura that slaughtered through the entire battlefield. A great battle broke out. The Heavenly Sun region exploded, and light surged, covering the sky and the sun. It was a tragic event. This was a pinnacle battle that affected hundreds of regions. Chapter 1660. The gods were roaring and the demons were crying. The gods and demons danced wildly in the sky. The Heavenly Sun region exploded, and dozens of other regions around it started to sink. Unless the immortal orthodoxies at their peak had super-strong methods to protect their ancestral grounds, even their ancestral grounds would crumble. Nothing could be seen clearly in this world-shaking battle. The terrifying aura was too far-reaching, and hundreds of regions were wailing. The aura released by the origin of destruction was boundless to the extreme. It shook the 4 seas, the immortal earth, and the mortal world. Each wave was enough to destroy the heavens and earth. How strong are they exactly? Daozu is an expert who has walked the path of immortality to the extreme. However, the ancestors of the Xian people are growing stronger day and night. Their realm is too unbelievable, and they can be called the strongest beings in the undying celestial domain. I don't know how long this battle will last, but if they continue to expand, it might affect the 3,000 regions. Everyone in the universe was trembling. Originally, it was just a fight for the rebirth medicine, but no one expected things to develop to this stage. It was equivalent to a great showdown, and the ancestors of the immortal orthodoxies were going to destroy the ancient celestial court. Kill. The prehistoric Big Brother's aura was getting more and more terrifying, and the great Tao of the heavens seemed to submit to his feet, trembling. It was as if he was suppressing the universe, and his divine might was immeasurable. Boom! In an instant, his aura changed, and he turned into 6 invincible bodies. Some were blurry, some were mysterious, some were ethereal, some were young, some were young, some were young, some were young, some were old. The 6 great figures were massive and matchless, representing the glorious fighting strength of the prehistoric Big Brother. When they attacked in an instant, the sun and moon fell, mountains and seas collapsed. A corner of the great cosmos was struck until it collapsed, refined into a terrifying great black hole. Roar! The roar was rumbling and space was torn apart. Without a doubt, some experts of Daozu were in mortal danger. When the 6 invincible bodies punched, a supreme reincarnation universe appeared, as if the reincarnation universe of another plane was reflected, containing a great aura that could suppress everything. "Let's work together and kill him." The Lord of the Underworld had a solemn expression on his face. Their prehistoric big brother had once been severely injured by them, but 1,000,000 years had passed and he was still alive. He had even comprehended a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering divine ability because of a portion of the reincarnation elixir's essence. Reincarnation heaven-punishing Tao. The prehistoric big brother's hair fluttered in the wind as terrifying roars shook the mortal world. Intense reincarnation light leaked out as the 6 invincible figures attacked together. Reincarnation heaven-punishing was unleashed, wanting to kill the primogenitor expert in a single move. The face of the Sien people's ancestor darkened as he looked at the elixir of reincarnation. There was a big problem with the origin of this herb. It was very likely that it originated from prehistoric times because it had something to do with the 10 paths of heaven punishing. The path of reincarnation of heaven punishing was most likely a lost technique. Boom! The situation on the battlefield became cruel. An old Daozu whose qi and blood were declining flung his sleeves, and the heaven and earth rumbled. 24 cosmic stars lined up in the sky, revealing a supreme killing order, and suppressed toward the prehistoric big brother. Another elite brought out a purple gold gourd, and it surged with the power of the archaic opening. As the mouth of the gourd gushed out, heaven and earth collapsed, and even the great Tao shattered into pieces. The power of slaughter was really too freakish. Kill! Another primogenitor roared as he waved a thunder hammer. With a light swing, millions of lightning bolts descended. He was simply the sky's sovereign Daozu who controlled the source of the heavenly tribulation. His aura was extremely terrifying and shocking. The primogenitors displayed their abilities and joined forces to kill the prehistoric big brother. At the same time, Azure Dragon and the others were also terrifying enough. Of course, the wildest and most intrepid was the Sky Sun Elder because he directly went all out. His roar cleared the heaven and earth, and he used flesh and blood as food. Using the heaven and earth as a furnace, he channeled his strongest power to kill the Lord of Hell. At this moment, the Flame Emperor teleported Su Yen and the others away from the battlefield. The battle here was so shocking that even Supremes would be killed if they participated. The reason why the old village chief could continue fighting was mainly because of the Heavenly Emperor's imprint. "Why did you hit me?" Su Yan's head was buzzing, and his forehead was a little purple after being flicked by the Flame Emperor's jade finger. "You're not convinced? Come and fight me?" The Flame Emperor looked at Su Yan with a smile. She was a peerless beauty, and her skin was as white as jade. However, she didn't look friendly and was also smiling. Su Yan's face almost collapsed as he rubbed his forehead. This was the first time they met, and this was too unkind. "You guys leave quickly." The Flame Emperor's expression turned solemn. At the same time, 2 Supremes with powerful auras arrived. One of them was a black-robed middle-aged man. He was extremely tall and sturdy, and his hair was thick. His whole body emitted a pungent smell of blood. Moreover, he was holding a heavenly halberd with a black heavenly prong on it. The other one was a white-robed old man. Although he looked like an immortal, he emitted a ferocious aura from his bones. If others were to see this, they would definitely be shocked. After all, these 3 were the most wanted criminals of the immortal heavenly domain. "The 3 of us will join forces and immediately activate the immortal refining furnace to attack." The black-robed man's battle blood surged. The aura in his body was like a huge furnace, giving off a strong pressure. The white-robed old man patted Su Yan's shoulder and patted Bao-Cai's round head. He smiled and said, "You guys leave quickly. Remember, don't look back. No matter what happens, just do what you need to do. Leave this place to us." Bao-Cai remained silent. Why did it feel like it was making funeral arrangements? Su Yan said that he had the 9 continents' heavenly cauldron that could help. However, the white-robed old man Xing Haiyang shook his head and said, "That cauldron is broken and can only be of limited help." "Flame Emperor, didn't you obtain old man Tongtian's heavenly bridge?" It should be enough for us to fight to our heart's content. Su Yen also wanted to do his part. He took out the jar that once stored the Emperor's blood. This thing. The Flame Emperor's expression changed slightly. The scarlet jar looked very special. She could see a majestic ancient world spinning before her. Its aura made her heart palpitate. The Flame Emperor did not stand on ceremony and took the scarlet jar. I say, can you prepare some backup plans for us? Baokai thought of something. Old man Tongtian had fallen. They might just be able to flip his lair over. Let's go quickly. The black-robed man's huge life form shot out a beam of aura and turned into a paragon incarnation. At the same time, he said worriedly, it's okay to go and take a look. If there are any accidents, leave immediately and return to Emperor Road. The Flame Emperor and Xing Haiyang also left behind a paragon incarnation. After doing all this, they rushed into the battlefield. The immortal refining furnace that had been silent for many years was finally activated and smashed into the battlefield. Let's go. Don't look anymore. Once the battlefield is enlarged, we won't be able to leave even if we want to. Su Yen immediately rushed into the distant world. From afar, he could see a woman as holy as the moon. She was preparing to retreat and return to Emperor Road. Bamboo Moon, a rumbling voice exploded, shaking the vast mountains and rivers. Its penetrating power was extremely strong. The sleeves of Zhu Yu's clothes fluttered in the wind. She was like a pure and holy fairy from the Moon Palace. She was graceful and elegant, noble and beautiful. She held a sun of chaos in her hand. This treasure was extremely powerful. It could erupt with boundless killing order at every turn. This was the Tao attainment item of the bamboo sky. It was extremely impressive and had great potential in the future. It could turn into the most powerful ultimate treasure. Su Yen, Bamboo Moon, was stunned. She looked at the figure rushing over from afar. She was stunned for a moment. Then, a surprised smile appeared on her face. It was truly a smile that could topple cities. She could not close her mouth. She did not expect to meet Su Yen here. Ah! Su Yen laughed. However, Bamboo Moon was even more enthusiastic. Her eyes shone brightly as she ran up to Su Yen and hugged him. Can you be more mindful of your image? Baokai glared at them with panda eyes. He ran over fiercely and destroyed the atmosphere of a reunion after a long separation. Cough, cough, even Zhu Yao was here. He coughed a few times to remind them that there were outsiders present. Bamboo Moon's cheeks were slightly red. However, she looked even more charming and beautiful. Her gentle eyes looked at Su Yen. She had a lot to say to him. Don't waste time. Let's go. Zhu Yao called out to them. Don't let them notice us. Otherwise, it'll be difficult to leave. We can't stay here and distract the ancestors. Senior has entered the grand heavenly realm. Su Yen was moved. Not only did Zhu Yao reconstruct his body, but his aura had also entered the grand heavenly realm. Isn't that great? Baokai said excitedly. Let's go. Silence has destroyed Old Man Tongtian's lair. Old Man Tongtian's death happened not long ago. If someone notices, there will be other forces attacking Old Man Tongtian's lair. Old Man Tongtian is dead? Zhu Yao was shocked. He knew that young Master Tongtian had been killed by Su Yen. However, he did not expect Old Man Tongtian to die as well. Baokai opened his mouth and spat out a cauldron. Inside the cauldron was Old Man Tongtian's mangled corpse. Su Yen was stunned. Baokai had acted too quickly. He did not even know when Baokai had taken Old Man Tongtian's corpse away. Zhu Yao and the others did not dare to waste any time. They were on their way. He raised his hand and opened a spacetime tunnel. The group rushed in. However, even after traveling for half a day, the aura of the apocalyptic battle in the Tianyang province was still greatly affected. The whistling energy ripples were too terrifying. Who knew how the battle would turn out? In any case, it would be difficult for a peak battle to end in a short time. Su Yen, Isn't that the jar you took out? It's really useful, Baokai exclaimed. He saw a blood-colored jar rising into the air from the direction of the apocalypse. Open for me. The prehistoric big brother let out a long howl as his own aura fused with the blood-colored jar. The jar had changed completely and was peerlessly terrifying. Majestic energy ripples surged out from the jar as though a slumbering ancient emperor was awakening. The legendary heaven-burying jar, a certain old antique who had lived for a long time, was shocked. He had once explored a prehistoric land and learned some secret. Legend had it that the heaven-burying jar was one of the strongest treasures in the prehistoric era. According to the vague records, this jar used the strongest laws of the universe as its furnace to nurture it. The day the heaven-burying jar appeared, divine light swept across the space and time of the heaven domain. It was a peerless treasure. The 3,000 provinces of the undying heaven domain trembled as if they were being suppressed. The Xian people's ancestors could only summon the immortal slaying sword. This jar was too terrifying. It could melt the heavens. Gods and ghosts wept inside. It was as if the universe was offering sacrifices. The laws were like a sea, blood red. The prehistoric Big Brother's aura was violent. He was like a supreme demon king who controlled the heavens. He threw the heaven-burying jar over. Ah! This was a major event that shook the undying heaven domain. Some ancestors howled in grief as their bodies were blasted apart by the jar. Chapter 1661. The death of a primogeniture expert was even crueler than the collapse of a great province. Before that, Old Man Tong Tian and Zhu Tian had also died. However, they were quasi-Daozu experts and not true Daozu experts. These terrifying creatures had reached the extreme realm of the immortal path. They had grasped the order of the great Tao, and their words were law. Even though one could rely on one's own exploration in the extreme realm to become even stronger, even the weakest Tao ancestor was the lord of the grand Tao. This realm was already sufficient to shock the world, and it could be said that one's cultivation was extraordinary and could look down upon the myriad of living beings. A Daoyuo Tao ancestor was a terrifying existence that shocked the world. He was in control of the supreme order of the great Tao. Once such a character was disintegrated, it would be a major event that would shake the universe. Just the blood that surged out in the sky was like the burning blood of the universe. Boom! The entire heavenly dome collapsed. Terrifying creatures were withering away, dying. All the bones in his body were exploding. Pieces of bone flew out and shattered everything. It was equivalent to thousands of killing weapons roaring out. It was enough to destroy heaven and earth. It swept towards the sea of stars and dyed the world red. There was also a vast and boundless immortal path's pressure descending. It covered the sky and the sun, shrouding the world with great influence. If it was in other realms, it would become a forbidden zone for life. It would not dissipate even after a long time. Because this was the death of terrifying creatures. The great Tao's killing intent was born, cutting off the life of all living beings in the universe. However, in the collapsed Heavenly Sun Province battlefield, the supreme beings of various races were entrenched. Naturally, they could not pose much of a threat to them. Moreover, as this group of people's auras shook violently, the great Tao's pressure that filled the sky collapsed. Kill, the Heavenly Sun Elder became more and more berserk as he fought. His eyes were filled with blood as he roared towards the sky. He was like an unparalleled devil as he charged towards the Lord of Hell. Terrifying soul light shot out from his forehead as he launched the most vicious attack. He had really gone mad. The Heavenly Sun sect was destroyed. Millions of living beings in the sect were bathed in blood. His disciples and relatives could not escape the disaster. Moreover, he was also imprisoned in the Forbidden Land and became a sacrifice. The bloody cases stimulated the Heavenly Sun Elder's ferocious aura. His killing intent surged, destroying heaven and earth. At this moment, he opened his cracked mouth. His hair was disheveled, and his aura was ferocious. He swallowed the blood essence of the Daozu experts. He was bathing in the blood of the Dao ancestor and going crazy. He was enveloped in the withered shell of flesh that was riddled with scars. He wanted to revive the dead and radiate the human functions of the withered body. Although the Heavenly Sun Elder was not the most powerful, he was the creator. And his soul chi. Once his body. Of course. Heaven. The heaven-burying jug was too world-shocking. When it was in the prehistoric Big Brother's hands, the jug shone and gushed out with grand fluctuations. It was as if boundless ancestral matter was boiling and could easily destroy a corner of the heavens. It erupted with unrivaled power. It destroyed his body in a single exchange. It was unimaginably powerful. There was an 80% chance it could destroy Daozu's weapon. Only supreme treasures like the immortal slaying sword could contend against it. But the heaven-burying jar was too special. It scattered down boundless radiance. It illuminated the space and time of the heavenly domain. The ancient space and time of the burial ground suppressed the great world. Suppress. The wondrous sky sex primogenitor was furious. Even in such a situation, one of them had been killed by the primogenitor. It was a great humiliation. Boom! Daozu's supreme treasures spun in the sky. They formed a domain that sealed the sky and earth. They joined forces and rushed toward the primogenitor to restrain the heaven-burying jar's power. Heavenly Sun Elder, you really deserve to die. The blood cloud primogenitor, whose body had exploded, roared. His eyes were about to split open. Actually, for people like him, even if his body exploded, he could rely on the Supreme Order to reconstruct it. But now, the Heavenly Sun Elder had swallowed most of his blood essence. Wasn't this too deranged? It was too difficult to reconstruct a body in such a state. Ha ha ha, you reap what you sow. All of you must die. The Heavenly Sun Elder was bathed in the blood of a magnate. His blood-colored hair danced in the wind. His soul aura shook the world. He rushed toward the Lord of Hell and began a life-and-death battle. The blood cloud primogenitor was unwilling to give up. He tried to reconstruct his body. He hoped that it was not too late. One had to admit that his Tao was heavenly. He was indeed worthy of being a magnate. His primordial spirit was chanting sutras. The vast heavens, earth, rivers, and mountains suddenly shone brilliantly. It evolved into a huge figure that swallowed in the void. It wanted to collect the blood and shattered bones that shot out and complete the reconstruction. Unfortunately, his path of reconstruction had just begun. The azure dragon's eyes were ice-cold as it directly rushed towards the peak of the heavens. Its astonishing flesh shell covered in enormous scales shone. The dragon's mouth ferociously roared and surging ripples were released. Moreover, it spat out an ancient stone command. Celestial Court Battle Token. The blood cloud primogenitor cried out in fear. It seemed like he was begging for mercy. However, the azure dragon's expression was cold. The ancient stone token that it spat out suddenly released a sky-splitting battle intent. The stone token shone for 1,000,000 feet. The two words, Celestial Court, were engraved on it. The moment the azure dragon tried his best to revive it, the token changed. It was as grand as an abyss. Millions of figures appeared inside it. They worked together to release their aura and drown the ancient star sea. No, no. The blood cloud primogenitor screamed. His eyes were red. He was unwilling to give up. However, it was too late for regret. Even if he could survive, his vitality was greatly damaged. This ancient stone token was too special. It was suspected that the 1,000,000-strong army of the Celestial Court had destroyed the heaven and earth avatar that the blood cloud primogenitor had constructed. It destroyed his reconstructed body. At the same time, the Celestial Court's stone token pressed forward and directly exploded his primordial spirit. The blood cloud primogenitor was in despair. He was Daozu. He was almost as old as the heavens and earth. However, he was facing death now. He was really unwilling. Primogenitor, how could this be? My sect has been passed down for millions of years. Is it going to be destroyed just like this? The blood cloud primogenitor died in battle. He did not leave behind any last words. Thousands of provinces away, the blood cloud sect was in grief. Cries and shouts shook the entire province. This was a great sect that had flourished until now. Now, the entire sect was trembling because the ancestral court had collapsed. The stone statue of the primogenitor was covered in cracks and soon disintegrated. The primogenitor had fallen. There was no news. The sect master was dumbfounded. The primogenitor had died. Wasn't it too ridiculous? How tragic was the war in the Heavenly Sun province. This was a great change. The great sect had lost the power of the primogenitor. It was imaginable what kind of misfortune they would face in the future. The sect was already in chaos. It was unstable, and everyone was in a state of panic. The death of the primogenitor would definitely attract the attention of the enemy forces. It would not take long for the entire orthodoxy to be destroyed. The blood cloud primogenitor has died in battle. Zhu Yao was frightened. He said, "The blood cloud sect is not inferior to the heavenly sun sect. Although it is not the strongest immortal orthodoxy, it is definitely one of the top forces in the immortal celestial domain. The death of the primogenitor means that the blood cloud sect will also be erased. This beast god has a premonition. Maybe the internal conflict of the blood cloud sect is cruel enough. It is not surprising that it will collapse." Baokai sneered. They asked for it. They bullied the celestial court because there was no one there. In the end, they were slapped in the face. A Daozu was like this, killed in such a way. This battle was too cruel. Once the primogenitor who suppressed the fate of the entire sect died in battle, the entire sect would be destroyed. It involved too many things. It could be seen how terrifying the influence of this battle was. Bamboo Moon's expression was solemn. No matter what the outcome was, this battle would affect many years. There would definitely be some immortal orthodoxies that would wither away in the decline. I want to know, what is that stone token? Su Yen was speechless. The azure dragon spat out an ancient stone token that stopped the blood cloud primogenitor's path of reconstruction and destroyed his primordial spirit. Su Yen was very far away from the battlefield, but his ears could still hear the earth-shattering battle cries. The sound shook the universe, causing Su Yan's blood to boil. It was about to penetrate out of his body and form the flames of battle. He was infected and wanted to turn into a warrior to participate in the battle. The stone token that the azure dragon used with all his might was becoming more and more shocking. Countless gods and devils came out of their cages and shattered the clouds. The murderous aura they emitted was like a boiling sea that spread throughout the universe. Everywhere shook and thunder rumbled. It was obvious that the ancient stone token was too special. A million-strong army appeared in the sky and roared through the starry sky. They worked together to release a terrifying power and charged forward to kill a Daozu expert. This is the battle order of the ancient celestial court. Zhu Yao said directly. This battle order's specifications are extremely high. Once it is activated, it is equivalent to a million-strong army coming down to kill. It is the ancient celestial court's Kuei Bao. The ancient celestial court's battle order. Su Yan's heart was surging. A million-strong battle order could threaten a Daozu expert. Baokai sucked in a cold breath and said in shock, "It would be heaven-defying if 8 or 10 of this thing were to be smashed out." Hearing this, Zhu Yao stared and said, "You're thinking too much. 8 or 10 of them. This thing is very precious. I don't know what material it is made of. It has been auctioned before, but no one has dared to buy it. Of course, the main reason is that activating this battle order requires a special secret technique. Once, there were Daozu experts who wanted to decipher and study the mysteries contained within the stone token. Unfortunately, no one succeeded. It is said that this is one of the most ancient treasures of the ancient celestial court. No one knows how many of them there are. Perhaps some battle orders are even more powerful than this one. In the past, I heard that once this battle order was activated, it could suppress a flourishing sect. From this, one can see how powerful it is. Su Yen was moved. From this foundation, one could see how powerful the celestial court was during its heyday. However, activating a battle order was extremely difficult. Even the Azure Dragon had to activate this celestial court's battle order with all his strength. The power unleashed was extremely barbaric and could shatter the supreme laws of order. Its strength was omnipotent. This was one of the celestial court's most precious treasures. It would be strange if it wasn't powerful. I didn't expect this jar to be so powerful. The Nine Cauldrons auction is really losing money. Even if they sold their Chamber of Commerce, they wouldn't be able to afford a corner of this jar. Of course, Su Yen was still shocked by the blood-colored jar that he had accidentally obtained in the auction. This thing's value was too outrageous. There were hundreds of drops of Emperor's blood essence sealed within, but he didn't expect the jar itself to be even more valuable than the Emperor's blood essence. Now that the prehistoric Big Brother was in charge of it, his battle strength had skyrocketed. It was extremely terrifying. If not for his Big Brother's strength, he wouldn't have been able to kill the Blood Cloud primogenitor with the heaven-burying jar. Now that he was fighting a group of heroes and had the protection of this sect's most precious treasure, Su Yen wasn't worried that the prehistoric Big Brother would encounter a crisis of 1,000,000 years. He felt his blood boil. He wanted to stay and watch the battle to see the final outcome. Let's go. Su Yen clenched his fists. Important matters were more important. He couldn't help much in this matter. First, he had to deal with Old Man Tongtian's lair. Chapter 1662. The Tongtian star was located in the void of time and space. It was also a startling ancient planet of life. Very few powerhouses in the world knew the approximate location of the Tongtian star in the void of time and space. Ever since this area evaporated a few years ago and turned into a terrifying universe black hole, it was listed as a forbidden area, and very few powerhouses dared to set foot there. Several years had passed, but this area of nothingness was still filled with various sources of terror. One could only imagine how powerful Dao Shi's attack was when it came from Emperor Road. After several years of repairs, the devastated heaven-span star had taken a turn for the better. This ancient planet was filled with the power of time and space. This was the influence of Old Man Tongtian's Dao and Law to form a domain pattern. From the outside, this planet looked extremely vast. After all, this was Old Man Tongtian's mountain gate. On the Tongtian star, there were many old servants and a large number of powerful auras. It had to be said that the battle in the Tianyang province was shocking. All kinds of terrifying auras roared into the sky, affecting this ruined void of time and space. Even the Tongtian star was trembling slightly. Master has gone to the underworld. I wonder how things are progressing now? Don't worry. Master controls the skybridge. Even if he's in danger, he can use it to leave. I think the battle is getting more intense. Master might return soon. We should prepare to welcome him. The young master has died in battle, and Master has a bad temper. Don't anger him. On the vast Tongtian star, groups of old servants with powerful auras were conversing. A few years ago, Old Man Tongtian was suppressed by a supreme powerhouse and almost died. His injuries seemed to be very serious. These old servants did not know the details, but because of what happened a few years ago, the Tongtian bloodline was in a state of panic, especially when the young master had died in the Emperor Road. Boom! Half a day later, wave after wave of vast auras rushed towards Heavenly Star with a loud rumble. At first, the old servants on the Tongtian star thought that it was the energy ripples from the progenitor's battle. However, the vast auras became denser and denser, as if the stars were collapsing. The impact was so great that it even penetrated the Tongtian star's spatial domain. Who's there? On this planet, many powerhouses' expressions changed. The outer verse had changed, and one could faintly see terrifying figures appearing one after another. The auras of sovereigns filled the air, and their might shook the world. The figures of the three supremes appeared in outer space, overlooking the sky-reaching star. Their figures looked ancient and mysterious, but their auras were extremely terrifying as they looked down on the entire life-ancient star. Even if it was the incarnation of a supreme being, it was still powerful enough to shock the world. The supreme martial artist is here. A powerful old servant couldn't keep his composure and shouted, "The old man of Tongtian is out for some business. Please come back another day." The group of old servants were extremely calm and confident. After all, their master was the old man Tongtian, a supreme giant that not even the immortal sex dared to provoke. Even the old servants under his command were extremely arrogant. So what if he was a supreme being? In front of old man Tongtian, he was truly nothing. Although the figures of the three paragons were somewhat blurry, their auras were so shocking that space-time began to collapse. As they shone with light, it was as if they were three eternal, indestructible suns that resonated with planet Heavenspan. What are you doing? Don't you know whose sect this is? The entire sky-reaching star was in an uproar. The old servants were furious. This was the lair of the old man Tongtian. Who dared to act impudently here? Who dared to attack? Who gave them the courage? So what if the three supremes came knocking? The old man Tongtian was an invincible giant. Are they going to attack the sky-reaching star? Are the three supremes crazy? An old servant's face turned pale. The auras of the three supremes were extremely terrifying, as though they were standing above the heavens. Although they weren't Daozu, they were all super-fugitives of the undying heavenly domain. Finally, the space-time energy of planet Heavenspan began to collapse. Not good. The enemy is here. Hurry up and use your trump cards to suppress them. Inform the master to return immediately. A powerful old servant shouted, his aura shaking heaven and earth. He was a grand heavenly realm expert, and his voice echoed throughout the world, waking up all the experts who were in seclusion. Although a large number of experts had died in the calamity of planet Heavenspan a few years ago, there were still 3 grand heavenly realm experts guarding planet Heavenspan now. The entire sky-reaching star was boiling with killing intent. Most importantly, above the ruined Heavenspan star, an ancient city soared up. It blossomed with boundless space-time power, and supreme order and rules appeared in the air. It was as if a slumbering Tao ancestor was awakening. What extravagance! Su Yen came and looked at the ancient city floating in the sky. This was definitely a treasure of heaven and earth, and it also contained the old man Tongtian's strongest Tao and skills. It resisted the supreme heavenly might descending from the sky. The ancient city forged by the old man Tongtian is extremely powerful. Zhu Yao stood between heaven and earth, patrolling the ancient city, and said, "I wonder if there are any supremes inside. If there are, I'm afraid we shouldn't fight our way in. Since we're already here, let's just kill our way in." Baokai roared, and his body expanded infinitely. Soon, he turned into a giant panda as tall as a mountain. He raised his head and spat out a cauldron. What's that? The bloody scene inside the cauldron appeared in the eyes of all the old servants on Sky-Reaching Star. In an instant, Sky-Reaching Star trembled violently and became unstable. Even the ancient city began to tremble because all the old servants saw the corpse of the old man Tongtian. This was definitely his corpse. It contained the old man Tongtian's tragic death aura. It swept across the entire sky-reaching star, causing this ancient planet to wail. Its Tao and skills were rumbling as though they were sending him off. The old man Tongtian has died in battle. I, the beast god, have come to take over his lair. Baokai let out a heaven-shaking roar. Those who surrender will be spared, but those who rebel will die. The roar was like thunder, exploding in the ears of all living beings. Sky-reaching Star was completely in chaos. They were terrified and trembling. The high and mighty old man Tongtian had fallen. He had died in the underworld, killed. Their faith in life was almost destroyed. How is this possible? All the servants were terrified. The grand heavenly realm experts felt their scalps go numb. These people's faces were ashen as they trembled. A boundless chill rose in their hearts. Even when they saw the old man Tongtian's corpse, they did not believe that a big shot had fallen. He was a big shot. How could he have died in battle? The three paragons appeared in the sky. Zhu Yao controlled the bamboo moon's chaos bamboo. Su Yen carried the Jiuzhou heavenly cauldron with one arm. Baokai roared at the top of its voice, wanting to rule Sky-reaching Star. The terrifying changes made some beautiful women cry out in fear and despair, "Devil King, it's that Devil King! It's the Devil King who killed the young master of Sky-reaching Star." Sky-reaching Star was completely in chaos. The celestial court was here to settle the karma. An incomparably oppressive aura swept across Sky-reaching Star. Many servants could not bear it and fled madly. Even the old man Tongtian had fallen. What was the point of them staying here? To wait for death? In any case, Sky-reaching Star was in chaos. The ancient city of time and space began to tremble. The people's hearts were unstable. Boom! Suddenly, the ancient city of time and space surged with monstrous space-time current. In an instant, hundreds and thousands of space-time killing lights shot out. They surged out and turned into space-time sword embryos that slashed at the group of old servants who were fleeing Sky-reaching Star. A large number of cultivators' bodies exploded. The true immortals were killed in a single exchange. This was the ancient city of time and space's super treasure that suppressed Sky-reaching Star. It was like a supreme throne that controlled the world. Its divine might was monstrous. Those who betrayed the old man Tongtian die. In the end, a terrifying ray of light rushed out from the ancient city, forming a terrifying supreme great Tao diagram. There was a huge creature in it. A true dragon's tail swayed, tearing the sky apart. A giant beast, golden and resplendent, covered in golden scales, tall and mighty, stood in the ancient city of time and space. It let out a low roar. "Master is invincible. How could he die in battle? I've already informed the Master. He will return as soon as possible to suppress all traitors." An earth-shaking voice exploded, echoing in the world. This creature had great prestige on Sky-reaching Star. It was the seat of the old man Tongtian, and its every word and action was enough to represent the old man Tongtian. Its words played a major role, and the ancient city of time and space gradually quieted down. A dragon beast. Zhu Yao was shocked. It was an extremely rare species. Its vitality was exuberant, and it did not show any signs of aging. This was a supreme-level creature, powerful and prosperous. "How dare you attack the territory of a giant? All of you will die," the dragon beast roared, and endless cold air bloomed from its eyes as it stared at the experts entrenched in the outer realm. The Baokai raised its head and looked askance at the dragon beast. It shouted, "You should thank this beast god for helping you get rid of the old master. You can also logically become the second master of Sky-reaching Star." The dragon beast could definitely recognize the corpse of the old man Tongtian. How could it be willing to leave? There was a huge amount of wealth on Sky-reaching Star. "Ha ha ha ha!" The dragon beast snorted disdainfully. "You clowns want to kill the old master? So what if you have 3 supreme beings? They're just illusions. What can they do to me?" At the same time, its aura was also endlessly terrifying. The essence blood in its body surged, forming a boundless supreme great Tao diagram. The expert's dignity was like the sea, and its vitality was too exuberant and shocking. It had already drowned the entire Sky-reaching Star. The dragon beast did not believe that this group of people could still fight their way in while it was in control of the ancient city of time and space. Its thoughts were also deep. As long as it could stop them, wouldn't the treasures of sky-reaching star be its own? It was already a supreme being, and its servility was getting weaker and weaker. If it was not afraid of the old man Tongtian's strength, it would have left the Tongtian lineage long ago to find its own path of invincibility. Let's kill them directly. Su Yan's eyes were like lightning. The 9 continents heaven cauldron in his hand was instantly revived. Su Yan's 9 continents heaven cauldron became more and more brilliant. He and Bamboo Moon worked together to revive the 9 continents heaven cauldron slightly. Instantly, it swallowed the sea of stars. This was the most powerful treasure. Even if it was slightly revived, its suppressive power was shocking. Boom! The huge cauldron rushed over and directly slammed into the city gate, causing monstrous waves. The entire city shook, and multicolored light filled the sky. Shocking auras slammed into the ancient city gate again and again. Kill! Zhu Yao roared and threw the chaotic giant bamboo towards the ancient city of time and space. It had to be said that this treasure was very powerful. It was Zhu Yao's Dao object, and contained his Dao and laws. It surged like an ocean of chaotic order, accompanied by strands of source qi, and shot towards the ancient city of time and space. The dragon beast's expression changed. These 2 treasures were too shocking. They covered the sky and covered the earth, and the entire ancient city of time and space was shaking. The power of time and space that covered the city began to explode. Of course, the greatest reliance in this battle was the 3 energy incarnations of the Flaming Emperor. Boom! The 3 supreme figures rushed towards the ancient city of time and space, emitting terrifying auras. Let's begin. Su Yan was full of confidence. He had the determination to sweep through sky-reaching star. They would naturally do their best to seize the treasures of this ancient planet. Chapter 1663. 9 Province Heavenly Cauldrons, Chaos Giant Bamboo. The 2 supreme treasures suddenly erupted from their awakening. Even the mighty spacetime city shook. If it weren't for Old Man Skirich's powerful Tao and laws, the spacetime city would have directly exploded. What powerful supreme treasures! The dragon beast's face sank. This powerful supreme life form stood tall in the city, releasing the light of boundless blood essence. The dragon beast's cultivation was profound. The blood essence in its body surged, its strength shocking the world. Its body fused with the spacetime city, forming a protective formation. I don't believe you can break in. Old Man Skirich has fallen, so his treasures should belong to me. With just 3 supreme incarnations and 2 supreme treasures, you want to steal my chicken? That's impossible. The dragon beast's expression was cold. Its massive life form fused with the spacetime city. Runes of order filled the skies as it did everything it could to stop the various energy forms. Let me. Brilliant bamboo's aura completely awakened. The ancient chaos giant bamboo became even more terrifying. The bamboo shined, and the laws of order sputtered out. The power of the laws was like a sea, submerging the spacetime city. It had to be known that Zhu Tian and Old Man Skirich were powerhouses on the same level. They were both quasi-Daozu Daozu. Now, the chaos giant bamboo tore apart the order of spacetime and fell from the skies, causing the spacetime city to tremble. Moreover, the 2 terrifying Dao fruits' strengths instantly collided, forming a destructive tide. The living beings in the city shivered. Many people's legs went soft and they fell to the ground. They experienced death, the end of the universe. The 2 quasi-Daozu Daozu Dao fruits clashed. The heavens fell and the earth cracked. An energy more terrifying than the vastness of the universe seeped into the ancient city and began its annihilation. Open for me! Su Yan roared. He and Zhu Yu seemed to have used all of their strength to make the 9 continents' heavenly cauldron shine brightly. Although the cauldron looked a little broken, It continuously surged out 9 layers of majestic power and attacked the ancient city. Gotcha! The terrifying impact caused the spacetime city's gates to collapse. Half of the massive cauldron wall was smashed in. An incomparably vast pressure swept through the entire ancient city, causing a large number of living beings to cry out in pain. The ancient city was dyed in blood, the bodies of true immortals all exploding. The city gates were broken through, the inside becoming a sea of blood and mountains of corpses, the smell of blood overflowing into the heavens. I'll suppress Guqing. Su Yan, you think of a way to disturb the dragon beast. This is a supreme being, so you have to be careful. Otherwise, it can kill all of us in one move. Zhu Yao's expression was solemn. His entire body fused together with the chaos bamboo, releasing 1,000,000,000,000 layers of Dao fruit light that suppressed the freakish space-time power of the ancient city of space and time. The two of them entered into a stalemate. Swish, swish. The 3 figures of the flaming emperor had already rushed into the ancient city through the collapsed city gate. You want to kill me with just 3 incarnations of paragons? Stop dreaming. From now on, all the treasures here belong to me. The dragon beast sneered. It knew all too well just how rich old man Tongtian's treasure trove was. There was no way it would give it up so easily. This was a supreme being of a generation. By relying on this wealth, it could establish a powerful orthodoxy and become a supreme being ancestor that could dominate a region. Perhaps in the future, it might even have a chance to become a legendary expert like Daozu. In short, the great opportunity was right before its eyes, so it wouldn't easily give up. Boom! The dragon beast's gigantic body shone brightly. Its claws were holding a supreme battle weapon. It was a golden divine spear that was 100,000 zhang long. The killing intent of the supreme battle weapon flowed out from the spear as it charged towards the 3 supremes. After all, they were just incarnations. Only this dragon beast's blood energy was vigorous, and the laws within its body were as vast as the sea. It was full of supreme heavenly might. In just one move, the dense blood energy that filled the sky flooded the entire ancient city. It even covered the incarnations of the 3 paragons, wanting to destroy them. This dragon beast went crazy as soon as it attacked. Bamboo Moon's face was a little pale. She stared at the dragon beast and said, "If it goes crazy, with just us alone, we won't be able to kill it. I didn't expect the ancient city of space and time to be so powerful. It even has the Tao of a primogenitor expert." Hearing this, Baokai sneered, "As long as it can stop us, it will be able to obtain the wealth of old man Tongtian. It would be strange if it didn't go crazy. It's nothing compared to the resources it can obtain." Su Yan's body was also weak. He said, "It's okay. As long as we can injure the dragon beast, the 3 paragons of Yen Emperor's incarnations can kill it. The situation is much better than I expected. There's only 1 paragons, so it's nothing to worry about." He sat down cross-legged. Su Yan's body was weak, and he didn't have much combat power. Su Yan's primordial spirit was still in its peak state. His forehead was shining, and a grand chanting sound was transmitted. It illuminated the universe, rivers, and mountains, and a terrifying primordial spirit's shadow was faintly discernible. Su Yan's primordial spirit was at the peak of the true immortal realm. The moment it recovered, its soul changed. The runes of the Kuan Peng sprinkled down, causing Su Yan's primordial spirit to change and evolve into the Kuan Peng state. "Come out!" Su Yan's primordial spirit exited his body and entered the Jiuzhou heavenly cauldron. The Kuan Peng's corpse that was sleeping in the cauldron trembled in an instant, revealing wisps of ancient heavenly might. The Kuan Peng's corpse that had been sleeping for a long time was awakening. Its aura was enough to crush the heavens. What is that? The dragon beast that was suppressing the 3 incarnations of Yen Emperor was terrified. It looked at the enormous creature that came out of the cauldron. It possessed the strongest heavenly might. The Kuan Peng that was 100,000 feet in size was now under the control of Su Yan's primordial spirit. The moment he used the power of the Kuan Peng to activate the Kuan Peng's corpse, Su Yan felt that the world was collapsing, and the great Tao was about to disintegrate. Ah! Su Yan's primordial spirit roared. In an instant, he received boundless strength. This Kuan Peng was definitely an expert of Daozu when it was alive. Just its corpse alone was enough to forge a Daozu heavenly weapon, which was enough to be ranked as the strongest treasure. It possessed the strongest laws and order. This was the corpse of a supreme being, the Kuan Peng's corpse. It was indestructible and powerful. Under the activation of Su Yan's primordial spirit, the ancient Kuan Peng's corpse was extremely terrifying. The moment it attacked, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Boundless strength was released and surged towards the ancient city of time and space. Bang, bang, bang! A large number of living beings were bathed in blood in the sky. Their bodies directly exploded and turned into bloodlight. They couldn't withstand the impact of the Kuan Peng's energy. Moreover, the entire ancient city was trembling. It was about to collapse from the Kuan Peng's collision. Daozu's corpse. The dragon beast's eyes widened in anger. It was a little fearful and a little jealous. This was a priceless immortal treasure, and it was the corpse of a supreme being of the Kuan Peng lineage. Its value was unimaginable. It was actually revived by a true immortal ant. Boom! The Kuan Peng's corpse rushed out. Its terrifying aura overflowed the heavens, and the supreme beings were suffocating. What a terrifying corpse! Bamboo Moon was dumbstruck. Even the grand heavenly immortals in the ancient city were crawling and trembling. They couldn't withstand the Kuan Peng's heavenly might. This was Su Yan's strongest trump card. Although it was difficult for him to unleash the Kuan Peng's strongest Tao law order. Just the power of the Kuan Peng's corpse alone was enough to tear apart a supreme being. Ah! The dragon beast howled miserably. The Kuan Peng's corpse crashed onto his body. He couldn't withstand it. Half of his body collapsed, and his entire body was about to explode. He was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. So powerful! Su Yan shouted excitedly. He felt that he could pierce through the 9 heavens with a raise of his hand. The Kuan Peng's strength was truly world-shaking. Even in its corpse state, it was enough to shock the world. However, Su Yan operated it clumsily. The main reason was that his primordial spirit's Tao wasn't superb enough. Otherwise, he could have killed the dragon beast in one strike. Of course, there was another point. Just by operating the Kuan Peng's corpse for a breath, Su Yan's primordial spirit quickly dimmed. The damage was too severe. It could be seen that if he wanted to control it for a long battle, he had to be at the grand heavenly immortal realm to have a glimmer of hope. Die, you worm! You destroyed my battle body. I should cut you into 1,000 pieces. The dragon beast howled miserably. Its primordial spirit vibrated with a terrifying energy order, and charged into the Kuan Peng's frontal bone. The Kuan Peng's corpse had a complete inheritance of precious bones, which isolated it from the dragon beast's primordial spirit's attack. Even so, waves of murderous sounds penetrated it, and shook Su Yan's primordial spirit to the point of collapsing. His soul chi was greatly damaged. He couldn't help but be shocked. A supreme being was truly a supreme being. It wasn't something a true immortal realm could challenge. Even if he controlled the Daozu's corpse, it was still difficult to kill a supreme being expert. However, Su Yan had already heavily injured the dragon beast. Its body was crippled, and it was limping. It was no longer at its peak strength. Roar! The dragon beast roared, and its blood-stained battle body filled the entire city. It attacked Su Yan's primordial spirit crazily, trying to shake it down. The Flame Emperor's 3 incarnations instantly awakened, and their strongest power suppressed the dragon beast, trapping it in the ancient city. At the same time, Zhu Yao desperately suppressed the laws of order of the ancient city to prevent the dragon beast from controlling the ancient city's power and destroying the three supreme beings' incarnations. This battle refreshed Su Yan and the others' understanding. They suddenly felt that even though they had walked out of the influence of the Daozu's battle, they still had to respect the supreme beings now. A supreme being is already so heaven-defying. The legendary Daozu is even more terrifying. Su Yan sighed. The images of the Daozu's battle in his mind were becoming more and more blurry. He could only vaguely remember some fragmented images. This was enough to show how terrifying a progenitor was. He was truly a powerful expert. Roars continued in the city. The dragon beast's injuries were getting worse. The Kuan Peng's attack was too cruel, and its life force was drying up. A supreme being's life force is too tenacious. Even though its injuries are so severe, it still fought the three supreme beings' incarnations for tens of thousands of rounds. After half a day of bloody battle, the three supreme beings' incarnations became more and more blurry and were about to dissipate into energy. In the final attack, the auras of the three supreme beings' incarnations shook at the same time, and they struck the wounded dragon beast. The dragon beast was terrified and wanted to escape. However, there was no time. Ever since it was heavily injured, its life was in danger, and it had no hope of fighting its way out. Its body collapsed, and even its head was smashed into pieces. The supreme being was dead. Zhu Yao sighed. If it had retreated earlier, it would not have fallen into such a situation. The ancient city's surging Tao and magic also dimmed. The ancient city fell from the sky and landed on the ground, crushing the territory into pieces. The heaven-span lineage has ended. The Baokai charged toward the ancient city and let out a long roar. It was equivalent to the destruction of a small immortal sect. If news of this spread, the impact would be huge. Heavenspan planet was in ruins, and the smell of blood filled the air. Old Man Heavenspan, the mountain gate opened by a giant, has been taken down by us just like that. Zhu Yao's heart thumped as he said, "There are too few experts guarding the mountain gate. It has been invaded by strong enemies before." He did not know that the Dao Shi had attacked this place in the past, which greatly damaged the Heavenspan star element. Otherwise, even without Old Man Heavenspan, it would be extremely difficult to destroy Heavenspan planet, unless the Yen Emperor and the others came personally. Let's go. Let's take a look around Old Man Heavenspan's lair. This is the grotto of the future Daozu. I wonder what we will find there. Su Yan smiled. Then, he said solemnly, we can't stay here for long. News of Old Man Heavenspan's death has already spread. There will definitely be experts from other factions coming to join in the fun. Dong, dong, dong. The Tai Baokai had already charged into the ancient city and preserved the dragon beast's corpse. Then, a secret treasury was blasted open. There were large amounts of precious treasures sealed inside. There were too many to count, and they were extremely dazzling and brilliant. Su Yan exclaimed. The entire ancient city was Old Man Heavenspan's treasure trove. There were more than 10,000 treasures in the treasury. This was Old Man Heavenspan's accumulation over a long period of time. His wealth was shocking, and it was an unimaginable amount. Chapter 1664. Tens of thousands of secret treasure vaults were opened at the same time. Just thinking about it was enough to shock one's heart. Within the ancient city, the light of treasures surged and formed a sea of treasures. The light was extremely dazzling. I'm really rich now, Su Yan was stunned. The sea of treasures was filled with all kinds of divine weapons. There were so many of them that he couldn't even count them. Even Zhu Yao, the disciple of Sky Bamboo's founding ancestor, was lost in this scene for the first time. The accumulation of Old Man Tong Tian over the long years was truly breathtaking. There are over 100 great Luo treasures. He was speechless and his eyes widened. There were terrifying battle suits, powerful weapons, and rare treasures in the treasury. One after another, There were enough treasures to match up to 100 Grand Luo treasures. There were even rare treasures at the level of a Grand Luo Golden Immortal. He didn't stand on ceremony and took out a few treasures to protect himself. He couldn't help but sigh at how fast time passed. Su Yan's transformation was too shocking. From the time Su Yan came to the undying heavenly domain, he could be said to be poor. But now, he was sitting on a pile of wealth that would make even the great sects jealous. After all, old man Tongtian had limited disciples. He didn't need to spend much resources to nurture his old servant. Hence, as time passed, old man Tongtian accumulated enough wealth. Of course, it could also be said that although the wealth was great, it wasn't of much use to old man Tongtian. There were countless divine weapons, countless elixirs, large amounts of cultivation resources, and precious liquids of the heavens and the earth. Everything that one could think of. Bao Kai gnawed on the fragrant treasured fruits, one at a time. These fruits were extremely special and contained a large amount of heaven and earth yuan qi. They could replenish one's qi and blood and strengthen one's flesh shell. They were quite useful even for true immortals. There were also secret treasure vaults that contained all kinds of secret manuals, scriptures, and skills. These were the things that Su Yan valued the most. He spread out his spiritual will in hopes of discovering some shocking skills. Of course, there was also old man Tongtian's time reversal art. This secret art was extremely powerful and involved time itself. The manuals that could be kept in the treasure vaults were extremely valuable. There were also many scriptures, great daos, and skills left behind by supreme beings. This is incredible, Zhu Yao said. These manuals are extremely valuable. They can be used as the heritage of the great sects. It was useless for Su Yan. He had the Kuan Pung secret technique, a series of great magical powers to protect his body. Ordinary Paragon secret techniques were nothing in his eyes. In fact, if any of these secret techniques were cultivated to the great success realm, it would be enough for him to look down on an area. Something's not right. Su Yan frowned and said, although these resources are extremely valuable, and there are many of them, who is old man Tongtian? These resources are obviously not worthy of his net worth. Su Yan observed Heavenly Star and confirmed that the spacetime ancient city was the core of Heavenly Star. But why were its resources limited? Don't worry about that for now. Let's pack everything up first. Bao Kai urged them to get started quickly. The more critical the situation was, the more cautious they were. They were worried that there would be strong enemies with the same purpose as them charging towards Heavenly Star. Su Yan took out the Milky Way gourd. The amount of Milky Way gourd that was spitting out was terrifying. One by one, the treasures in the treasury were sucked clean. Even so, they spent close to a day to fill up the treasury. Over 100 void bags are full, Bao Kai said with red eyes, but the most important treasure is still not found. Su Yan, you have to hurry. Old man Tongtian is proficient in spacetime Dao. His cave abode might be hidden in a spacetime node. Actually, the most important treasure is still the ancient city. Although it is silent now, it still has old man Tongtian's Dao laws. It will be very difficult to take it away. Su Yan searched the city. The ancient city was not big. It could accommodate 10,000 people. It was just a small ancient city. The entire silver-white ancient city was made of time and space crystals. This was an astonishing amount of wealth. The ancient city was made of old man Tongtian's supreme Dao. We can't abandon it, right? Bao Kai frowned and said, this is a super treasure. It can be used as an important base in the future. Let's not worry about it first. Finding the biggest treasure is more important. Su Yan said in a low voice, no matter how valuable this ancient city is, it can't be compared to the immortal weapon tree. I scanned it with my divine sense more than 10 times, but I didn't find any traces of the nest. Zhu Yao's face was filled with worry. There was nothing to say. Su Yan directly used the heaven-opening brush. Boom! The ancient heaven-opening brush glowed and bestowed upon Su Yan the supreme power of insight. His heavenly eye seemed to have transformed into the eyes of the heavens as it spun. Boundless light scattered down as he studied the profundities of every inch of the heavenly connecting star. In a short period of time, Su Yan had failed. He had to take it seriously. This meant that the nest was hidden too deeply. Su Yan swallowed a large number of treasure fruits to recover his losses. He used the heaven-opening brush again and again to explore every inch of space-time. Time ticked by soon, a day and a night passed. On this day, Su Yan's eyes shone brightly. He had clearly caught a hint of something amiss. He rushed over and unleashed the 9 mystical escape techniques, controlling the heaven, earth, rivers, and mountains. Here, Su Yan laughed. He had discovered a space-time wormhole. It was hidden in the void and was rather well hidden. If not for the heaven-opening brush's insight, even a supreme being wouldn't be able to discover this space-time wormhole in the void after searching for 1,000 years. This was because the nest wasn't on the heaven-reaching star. The heaven-opening brush shone and shattered the void. Su Yan also used the power of the mystical escape techniques to stabilize the space-time wormhole. Whoosh whoosh, the group rushed over. This was a space-time tunnel. There was a powerful protective power of order, and every step was filled with killing intent. Su Yan didn't dare to be careless. He was worried that he would fail miserably. Quasi-Daozu's cave abode doesn't even need him to deliberately set up a formation. It's enough to become a land of death. Zhu Yao controlled the chaos bamboo and listened to Su Yan's arrangements. He suppressed the killing intent hidden in the space-time tunnel along the way. Of course, once this energy enters the body, you'll be tortured half to death. Su Yan nodded. They explored along the way. This space-time tunnel wasn't long, but the further they went, the denser the killing intent became. It evolved into a long river of time and space, making it difficult to move. In the end, they arrived at the other end of the space-time wormhole. This was a beautiful planet. The air was pure, and the great Tao was peaceful. It was like a pure land in the mortal world. Look! Bao Kai exclaimed. Su Yan and the others turned their heads to look back. They were momentarily absent-minded. It was as if they saw the Milky Way falling from the 9 heavens and turning into layers of long rivers of time and space. It was boundless and too majestic. This is a super space-time barrier, Zhu Yao said. Su Yan continued, to be precise, it's a super field that covers this planet. With the heaven-opening brush, he saw that the Milky Way war flags were rooted in the void of space-time and covered this planet. If one looked at it from the outside world, it would look like nothingness, but it was actually another world. This defensive method can completely be used as our secret stronghold. Su Yan was excited. The unexpected harvest was too great. Elder Tongtian must have prepared for many years and spent a lot of effort to forge the second lair. Now Su Yan had benefited. At this time, they rushed into Elder Tongtian's second lair. The planet was very big. The essence energy was rich, and the air was pure. It was like a pure land in the mortal world, untainted by the mortal world. There was no doubt that no living creatures had lived on this planet since it was discovered by Elder Tongtian. Thus, the great Tao here was quite peaceful. It was truly a super pure land. The soil here was also extremely fertile. There were countless medicinal herbs everywhere. They grew all over the world like cabbages. Their focus was not here. They quickly drove into the depths and soon saw an enormous palace. It was extremely glorious and eye-catching, emitting vast space-time power. This was a space-time palace, its value second only to the ancient city of space-time. Immortal weapon tree. Bao Kai cried out. He saw an ancient bronze tree that towered into the heavens. It filled the air with heavenly chi and scattered down endless immortal Tao runes. They rumbled as if they were tempering heavenly weapons. This is the legendary immortal weapon tree. Zhu Yao was shocked. The ancient tree was enormous and covered in all kinds of weapons. Layer after layer, however, they were all weapons that had just been nurtured. They couldn't be considered very strong. At the very top of the immortal weapon tree, the immortal weapons that were nurtured were the most shocking. Elder Tongtian's heavenly bridge was nurtured by the immortal weapon tree over a long period of time. However, the amount of time needed to nurture this type of weapon was unimaginable. However, this immortal weapon tree had a great influence on a group of races. This was already the second time Su Yan saw the immortal weapon tree. He couldn't help but sigh in admiration at the uniqueness of this tree. Quickly look, that's the great golden body fruit. The bamboo was dazzling red. They saw a precious tree that was entirely golden. The branches and leaves were sparse. However, the fruits on it were extraordinary. Each of the golden fruits faintly emitted an undying and indestructible aura. Endless essence blood. Su Yan sucked in a breath of cold air. This was a resource that was hard to find in the world. Apart from the 10 strongest precious trees, this great golden body tree was definitely one of the top precious trees. Legend had it that the fruits of this tree were extremely helpful in breaking through to the great golden immortal realm. There was a high chance of nurturing the great golden body. To be able to possess the great golden body, one was extremely close to the great golden immortal realm. 9-colored soul flower. Baokai screamed. She saw a special medicinal field with more than 10 ancient medicines planted. There were 3-colored ones, 6-colored ones, and even 9-colored ones. There was only one 9-colored one, and it was not fully ripe. However, the 3 and 6 colors were quite ripe. This is a shocking medicine for refining the 9 revolutions life soul pill. Su Yan sucked in a breath of cold air. This was the world's strongest 9th grade pill. Moreover, just the 3 and 6 colors were already extremely precious. Zhu Yu felt like she was dreaming. Not only were there great immortal fruits, but there were also a dozen or so stalks of top-grade ancient medicines that weren't inferior to the great immortal fruits at all. Perhaps there were even some that could be mentioned on equal terms. Immortal sect orthodoxies were extremely limited. They would not even open it to disciples of inheritance. Only existences at the level of saints' sons might have the right to enjoy it. Of course, this was only the outer region. Who knew how many good things were in old man Tongtian's lair? Who is it? All of a sudden, Su Yan's aura became terrifying. He looked at the boundless earth, and the heaven-opening brush took the initiative to warn him. It caught a strange stone that was full of potholes and was quietly moving underground. Boom! Su Yan immediately threw the heaven-opening brush and fixed this special stone in place to prevent it from escaping. The stone trembled and awakened on its own, breaking free from the heaven-opening brush's suppression. The scene during this process was terrifying. The stone surged with monstrous essence of Mother Qi, shocking everyone's hearts. Su Yan's face stiffened and his scalp went numb. Endless Mother Qi surged. The scene was quite inconceivable. A priceless immortal treasure. Bamboo Moon trembled as boundless Mother Qi surged. What kind of supreme treasure was this? Even the big shots like Daozu would be jealous and fight over it. The strange stone was too special. There was a vaguely supreme ancestral substance surging from it, illuminating the universe, rivers and mountains. It seemed to illuminate the outline of a great universe. It was full of heaven-bearing qi that suppressed all life. Boom! Suddenly, the special Dao seed that Su Yan kept close to his body flew out and collided with the strange stone.